Saving America one mind at a time. This is Smith Radio. And now, your hosts, Carrie and Brian Smith.
And that is the peaceful transfer of power. The 45th president of the United States is now Donald J. Trump.
He said, I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never let you down.
So we do have some breaking news, because while it is about celebration, it is also now about policy.
Oh, that's right, Aaron. President Trump went right to work. He went right into the Oval Office shortly after he departed from the...
Is day two going to be as busy as day one? He met with business leaders. He met with union leaders. He signed a bunch of stuff. He fulfilled some campaign promises. What's left?
The pace over the past 10 days has been astronomical. Everybody in official Washington I talked to said, I cannot believe he's only been president for 10 days.
Dan, I think you got to admit they did a pretty impressive job rolling out this nomination.
This is how it's supposed to be done. I mean, this is done to the T, actually even more so than we've seen in the past.
We're seeing the markets react positively. It is better than expected.
Consumer confidence rocketing to a 16-year high. Healthy job growth again for the month of February. So is this the Trump effect?
Oh, I think it is. I think there's no question that employers like Donald Trump a lot in his agenda, and I think the fact that he's just more pro-business from the previous administration.
The Dow still nearing all-time highs, just finishing the longest quarterly winning streak in 10 years.
It was by far the best speech I've ever heard Donald Trump give. It was one of the best speeches in that setting I've ever heard any president give.
He's repairing relationships with Egypt as well as with Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. You know, they saw Trump yesterday talk about Iran violating the spirit of the nuclear deal. So this is clearly part of a long-term strategy to reorient American foreign policy.
The bottom line is he's done well. He has done a lot of the things that he promised, like appointing a Supreme Court judge, like getting out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, like cutting regulation.
But he's done a really good job.
Well, he's pretty close to perfect, Sean. I'm serious.
He has done more than any president in recent history, certainly in the last half century, in the first 98 days of his presidency.
I am asking all citizens to embrace this renewal of the American spirit. I am asking all members of Congress to join me in dreaming big and bold and daring things for our country. I am asking everyone watching tonight to seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. That was the marking the 100-day tribute from Mark Dice. If you don't follow Mark Dice, at Mark Dice on Twitter, just an incredible patriot and American as well. This is Brian Smith along with
Carrie Smith,
giving you the breaking news of last week, wrapping it all up, espousing our opinion, letting you know what it all means, exposing the fake news, the deep state that we're talking about this week. We've got all kinds of information going on. Right now, if you want to be a part of the show, and it's 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, East Coast time, and it's Sunday, go ahead and go to smithradio.info. Click on the live link right there, and you'll be joined right away at the in the message board. So you can be a part of the message board where everybody's in a completely different conversation, and sometimes it's a conversation with us. But we'll answer answer some of the questions and some of the things that come up. And today we are also on Periscope once again. This is our second week in a row. We have new equipment on the way, folks.
Yes, it'll be a little bit more professionally produced, I guess. And right now we have, we're going to start off right off the bat.
Hold on. Let's. If you want to help us out, folks, this is something that we've been working on. We've put together the Patreon account, patreon.com/SmithRadio. We do all this out of our own pocket. We've been doing this for over 4 years now.
I lost the audio, guys.
Well, we hear you.
Yeah. No, just 1 second. I got you right there. We've got our special guest this evening on the line, and I'm just kind of laying everything out for the show right now, but patreon.com/SmithRadio. If you go there and donate a minimum of $1 single bill, $1, we've created a message board. It's a private group to where you can be part of the private message board for Smith Radio so that you can actually contribute to the show or espouse your ideas or ask us questions or whatever. So hop on over to patreon.com because you can't trust YouTube, can't trust a Twitter, can't trust nobody, not even a deep state. So we've got a really special guest on tonight, folks, right out of the gate. Timothy Schwartz, and if you remember last week's show, I played the audio of Timothy as a guest on Chris Matthews, who we all have
the thrill up our leg, right?
The thrill,
that guy.
The thrill is just a little too much sometimes, and in my opinion, I mean,
I had a setup for him coming on as far as,
but my opinion of that interview, I mean, without being biased, just flat out, Timothy. You owned Chris Matthews, my friend. Timothy Schwartz.
How's it going, Timothy?
It's going mighty fine. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, real quick, the setup, the reason we have you on is not just because we wanted you to talk about the Chris Matthews interview. Basically what happened was, and I'll tell everybody real quick how we ended up hooking up with you. Basically, for those of you that follow me on Periscope, you've listened to me kind of go off, really get upset in a Periscope one day where I was wondering why we put up, as a Republican Party, why does the Republican Party put up with people who seemingly don't go along with the Republican values, for the most part, conservative values? And I went on, and sure enough, as soon as that scope was over, I got a message from Timothy, who's at, he's on Twitter, he's Buckaroo for You, which is Buckaroo with an A, 4 spelled out F-O-R-U, just the letter, Buckaroo for You.
And if you're on Periscope, it is in the title of the Periscope.
Okay, and so we decided, he's told me that there's a way that we can actually fight, and not too hard, it's not too much work, he'll talk to you guys about it, about taking back our party, and so that we're not so beholden to all these rhinos, because that's what's really holding us back. So finally, with all the introductions done, finally we have Timothy Schwartz on. So how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on. We do have a problem in the Republican Party, and that has discouraged a lot of people. A lot of people have bailed out and registered independent and kind of tried to do a different thing. But you cannot change the party if you're outside the party. So I understand the frustration, but let me tell you what happened exactly 1 year ago. In 2016, July, there was first of all, let me talk about the phenomenon. People have not been involved in politics. Now, finally, people are very interested in politics. They're either for our president or against, but they are very tuned in, and it's a great time for us to really make some inroads. But let me tell you what's really happening. I mean, all you have to do is read social media, and you can tell that people are frustrated because you'll see constant messages like, throw the bums out, or let's vote them out, and yet they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to accomplish helping our president make America great again. So I want to talk to you about something of how you can really be effective. People are of the opinion that you can only make a difference by getting registered to vote and voting your ballot. And while that's important, I vote every single election. I can tell you that in Phoenix, Arizona, my ballot gets mixed in with 4 million other ballots. And I cannot. You're pointing. Am I?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Go ahead. Sorry, don't pay attention to us.
Okay, my ballot gets mixed in with 4 million other ballots, so it's not a huge ripple in the waves. I want to tell you how you can really make a difference. There's 3 easy steps, 3 easy things I want to mention to you. First of all, I know that some people. They've got a lot going on, so they multitask, and they listen to this program while they're trying to do something else, whether it's making dinner or whatever. Let me encourage you. Take 5 minutes, Give this your undivided attention because this is huge. You no longer have to be frustrated. You no longer have to scream at the TV, as we say, but you can really start to concentrate your efforts. All right. You remember exactly 1 year ago in July, there was the convention in Cleveland.
Right.
And that's where we had our nominee. There was actually 3 people out of the 17 that went into that room, and whoever came out of that room as the winner got the prize for President of the United States. That's a huge prize. But you remember seeing these people called delegates that were going to choose the next leader of the Republican Party, President of the United States. Some of you were wondering, well, who are these delegates and how did they get there? Why not me? Why can't I be in the room making my voice heard? Well, guess what? Here's the good news. You could have been one of those delegates. And here's how this works. I'm going to start at the top and work backwards. And we'll get to the starting point. Obviously, when you become a delegate, choosing the grand prize, that's the top of the list. But how did the people get to be in Cleveland? Well, all of the states had what's called a state convention. And at the state convention, they chose the amount of delegates they're allowed to go to Cleveland. All right, that's number 2 step. Number 1 step is, how did people get the assignment to go to their state convention, which would then pass on to the national convention? Well, those were precinct committeemen. So at the bottom of the ladder, you have precinct committeemen. Then out of all the precinct committeemen, you elect state committeemen. Out of all the state committeemen, you elect delegates, and therefore you choose your president. Understand this. Everything that happens within the Republican Party happens through voting. So while you're frustrated that you're not making a huge difference by voting, I want to tell you a secret, and that's how you can concentrate your vote. Guess what? If you go to a casino and you gamble your money and your chances of 1 out of 2 million, you're probably not too enthusiastic. But if your chances are 1 out of 15, you're going to get kind of hyped about that. So I want to tell you how to concentrate your vote.
Real quick,
and
Timothy.
that's by. Go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to let folks know we're speaking with Timothy Schwartz, who is a GOP leader out in the state of Arizona, and had led
the censuring.
Yeah, led the censuring of John McCain, the Rhino John McCain. So for those of you who are just joining us right now on Periscope as well as on smithradio.info, Timothy Schwartz is speaking to all of us regular folk, and he's getting ready to lay out the very simple, very easy steps for us to get involved and actually become a delegate and really help to take back the GOP that's been hijacked by rhinos. Does that about sum it up, Timothy?
Yes, and what I'm talking to you about is becoming a precinct committeeman. What that is you are an elected official in your state. It's bottom of the ladder, but a precinct committeeman actually gets to choose who advances in the Republican Party in your state. If you've got a rhino establishment candidate or you've got a conservative that you prefer, you can choose which one gets to advance by voting. And here's what happens. I mentioned to you, if you vote, if you go to the casino, guess what? Our Republican Party is broke up into legislative districts in our state. I'm in LD 30, which is Legislative District 30. My vote now is 1 out of 152. If I get 100 of my friends that are conservatives to join in our legislative district, we've got the overwhelming number of votes to choose what goes on. Now, here's what's important for you to understand. As a precinct committeeman, you now not just vote on propositions and ballot measures and even the governor or whatever. You're now voting on who gets to run the party in your state, the Republican Party. You get to vote on the leadership of the party, and you get to vote on the policies of the party. With that said, everybody knows that John McCain wanted amnesty in the state of Arizona, open borders, Gang of Eight. Well, we had enough votes that every time they tried to bring that up in Arizona, we squashed it. We did not give him the votes to put that as one of the policies of the Republican Party in our state. So you have a lot of control by being a precinct committeeman. Let me tell you what a precinct committeeman is. I don't know how it works in your state, but in Arizona, a precinct is basically a 1 square mile in my local neighborhood. So that's my precinct. And I'm there to give people information of how to get to the polls, maybe even give them a ride to the polls or whatever. But here's the important thing. I get to vote on the policies of the party and the leadership of the party.
Timothy.
Go ahead.
Just real quick. If our folks in different states, if they want to find out where their precinct is, where would they go? Who would they hook up with? Do you get a hold of the local GOP? How would that work for local? Like if I was in Arizona and I didn't know who you were, and I don't have your phone number, but I know I want to find the local precinct of where I live. What steps would I take to do that?
Well, there's actually two ways you can do it. First of all, as you indicated, you would contact the Republican Party and you say, I'm a registered Republican. By the way, that's another reason that you can't be effective if you've left the party and are independent. But if you're a Republican, you call the party and say, I'm a Republican. I want to become a precinct committeeman. The other way you can do it is by going to your elections department in your county elections department, and say, I'm interested in being a precinct committeeman. Now, I will tell you that there are only so many positions available in your precinct, but usually there's an opening because not a lot of people are engaged in this. They're kind of apathetic. But now that people are getting involved, it's a great opportunity for you to become a precinct committeeman. Now you get to choose, hey, I don't like that establishment guy, but we've got a conservative running against him. This guy or this gal is a stellar candidate, and I want to support them. I want to get behind them, and I want to make sure they make it over the finish line. You now have the power to do that. So if you watch politics and you don't understand how this works, there it is in a nutshell. You've got to become a precinct committeeman. Now, with that said, I could tell you that hopefully I've prompted you to say, how can I get more information on this?
Right.
The first thing you can do is by a lot of you are familiar with Phyllis Schlafly with the Eagle Forum. She's kind of the grandfather of conservative values, the Eagle Forum. You can go on the internet and search for Eagle Forum. The most powerful office in the world is not the president of the United States. What a title that is. I know that's long. I'm going to repeat that for you. The most powerful office in the world is not the president of the United States. And what she's talking about in that article is it all starts in the grassroots level. They then make the people that are their leaders get into those positions. But it starts at the grassroots level. And she does an excellent article on becoming a precinct committeeman, what's involved and how you do it. Another article that you can look up is a good friend of mine here in Arizona. He's a lawyer. His name is Dan Schultz, Schultz. Dan Schultz writes for Breitbart and several other places. If you Google this phrase, learn how to take over the GOP. Once again, learn how to take over the GOP, and you'll see an article by Dan Schultz. And great information.
Is he related to you?
What? No, my last name is Schwartz.
Oh, Schwartz. I'm sorry.
His name is Schultz.
Sorry
so
about that.
They're not the same name.
Gotcha.
But no, We both worked together in Arizona to get rid of the rhinos.
Well, anybody who's a friend of Breitbart is certainly a friend of the show.
Well, and we've had a bunch of people on asking the same question, so I better get this out right now. How long is the tenure for a precinct committeeman usually? Like, how long do you get to be that if you get to the position?
Okay, well, I can speak for Arizona. I'm not sure what the rules are in your state. For me, it's 2 years. And initially, when I sign up, if there's a vacancy, I get appointed in that position. I just slide right on in to fill the space, fill that vacancy.
So you're not voted on, or you don't have to? Well, you have to show your ID, or okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's where I'm going. Initially, I'm appointed, but then to stay in that position, it's a 2-year term. To answer your question, I then have to get elected, and to get elected, I simply go into my neighborhood and I get 10 signatures in my precinct of people that want to support me. You don't have to explain to them what a precinct committeeman is. You simply say that, I want to be a precinct committeeman. Could you support me and sign? And they'll sign, and that's as easy as it is. It's really easy.
I've got 10 people on my street.
Yeah.
And out of those 10 people, I know at least 5 will sign.
Right.
The other 5 we don't get along very well. But I digress.
So here's the deal. Taking control or getting control of the Republican Party is as simple as getting hordes, and I mean an army, of precinct committeemen to sign up for this very easy job of becoming precinct committeemen. You can stay nominally involved or you can get hugely involved, but you're there to cast the votes and make sure that the patriotic Americans are involved in the process and get this to the finish. Now, before you mentioned that John McCain, we led that censure. I actually authored the censure of John McCain. There was a lot of misinformation saying I was mean and I was not trying to get along and, what a time to divide the party and all of that nonsense. If you read the censure against John McCain, there was nothing mean-spirited in that. It was simply saying, hey, please come back to our party, support the party platform. You signed on to that. You're not keeping what you promised to sign up for, and we need your help because we really do need the help of establishment Republicans. Instead, he rebelled, and he's still in office. But listen, when people are running for office, and we can talk about that if you wanted to talk about it later, of how do we boot them out if they're, if we need to primary them or if they're already,
flying off the rails.
Yeah. But I want to talk about, let's say somebody in maybe one of your elected officials has to either resign or retire or something. There's a vacancy there. And then you probably, if knowing Republicans, there's probably 3 or 4 people that want to run for that open seat. That's where you come into play. Out of those, 3, 4, or 5 people running, you can say, she is at the top of my list, or I really like what he's saying. He's following the president's agenda, wants to build the wall, wants to, protect Americans. He's Second Amendment, on and on and on. The values that are important to you, you're going to be voting on those values.
Tim,
and your vote, go ahead.
Oh, question real quick. This has come up a couple times. Question. If you're running for a committeeman position that's open and you put your name in the hat, put your name in the ring and you got your 10 signatures and you submit to be the committeeman, if there are 3 or 4 other people that want that as well, what happens then?
Oh, well, that usually doesn't happen. But again, There's more people getting involved in politics now than in the past. So it's possible. If that happens, what you do is you now have a runoff. And you can actually just print up some flyers and pass them out around the people in your neighborhood. The other guys running against you are likely not doing that. You've actually started a mini campaign promoting yourself, and guess what? You win.
I love it.
It's all about campaigning.
Really?
If you say, you know what, I stand for you, I represent your values, I want to get into office so I can fight what you're fighting for, you're going to come out on top. But this is a very easy thing to do. It's a message that's not been heard. And if we can light a fire to this message and get people to making the Republican Party strong with conservatives, we then become a power, a force to be reckoned with. There's not a limit to what we can do. The president's doing all he can do, but trust me, with this 2018 and 2012 coming up rapidly, we've got to get involved. This is something that I'm asking you not to wait on this.
Yes.
Do it now while you're hearing it.
Right.
Put it on your list. Write it down. I want to look into becoming a precinct committeeman. I'm going to read those articles that Timothy mentioned on the air. I'm going to contact my elections department. I'm going to contact the Republican Party, and I want to get involved.
So
now,
real quick on the recap. Number one, you got to be registered as a Republican. Number two, go to your local GOP and ask to be a committee chairperson. What about the election board? What do they have to do that? Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to ask for when they go there?
Well, they're going to look for a vacancy. They're going to say, okay, let me just describe how the process works in Arizona. I can't talk to you about your state, but it's probably similar. In Arizona, or like say if I went to the elections department, I want to be a precinct committeeman. How does that work? What they're going to tell me is that in your geographical area called a precinct, I'm allowed 125, for every 125 voters in that area, we're allowed one precinct committeeman. So let's say there's 126 registered voters in my precinct. Now you get 2, and on the builders go. So usually you're allowed, 4 or 5 or more precinct committeemen for each little geographical precinct. So they're going to look to see if there's a vacancy, which more than likely there is, and then you say, I simply want to fill one of those vacancies. With that, I want to tell you that sometimes the Republican Party in your area is going to be establishment controlled. So you're going to kind of go in under the radar, keep it low key, not wear your MAGA hat, announce that you're fighting for the President Trump's agenda, because you don't know if those folks are leaning establishment or leaning patriotic values. But once you're in, hey, guess what?
Do whatever.
Wear your hat, wear your shirt, put bumper stickers on your car.
So slip under the radar. That's good. Absolutely.
I mean, this is huge. This is something the left does not want you to hear. And when I talk about the left, I'm not just talking about Democrats, because I think we've all wisened up to the fact that the left comes in both parties.
Right.
So when we fight for the right, we are in the right.
Absolutely. It's like being here in Ohio and having John Kasich as your governor.
Oh, he even admitted he should have been a Democrat. Oh, my gosh.
Right, when you got a governor standing up there on stage with 16 other men attempting to run for the president of the United States, looking around and saying, hey, you know what, guys? I probably should have ran as a Democrat.
Oh,
come on, man! What are we talking about here?
Well, keeping on track, what's the next?
Let me add to that real quick.
Okay, yeah.
I don't live in Ohio, but there's only one thing I have to say about Mr. Kasich. He signed a pledge to support whoever was the nominee.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know?
He didn't follow through.
Yeah, and I don't want to fly off I don't want to get off track here too much, but one of the big issues I had was that when you have somebody that says, "Oh, I should have ran as Democrat," or all these people that are voting with the Democrats consistently, and yet they get to run every 4 years or every 2 years or every 6 years with an R next to their name. They get to be in a primary with the Republicans, and if they win, then they go on to be the only choice for people in that state for the Republican, for your choice for Republican, and they're only going up against a Democrat and maybe a couple of independents, and you're kind of stuck with these people. But my argument is if they're going to vote with Democrats and they're not going to have the values and principles of the Democrat Party, why can't the Republican Party threaten to and then go through with actually expelling them from the party, which effectively will make it so that they have to run as either an independent or a different party, third party, or even a Democrat, and that gives the Republican Party for that state or for that area an opportunity to put in a brand new Republican. And does becoming a committee person give you at least a hope of maybe pulling something like that off? Well, you're talking about people that are already locked into place, and then it becomes you have to unvote them out. You cannot expel them. The process doesn't work that way. Well, I don't mean they would lose their position. I have people all the time asking me, "Can we impeach this guy?" No. Well, I don't want to be. I want to be really clear. I mean, they get to keep if you're a governor, let's say. If I were to throw them out of the Republican Party, they're still the governor. They're just no longer. They don't get an R next to their name anymore. Well, to answer that, it's a good question. We can't throw them out of the Republican Party. It's like me telling you, "Hey, you're a U.S. citizen. I want to deny you your citizenship and exile you to an island." I don't have the power to do that. Well, if they were a traitor, you might be able to put them in jail. Go ahead. If they were convicted of treason, they certainly would go to jail. But anyway, yeah. But no, and then they lose their exactly. Once you commit a felony, you lose your voting rights. You're no longer a Republican. But that's kind of a long shot. What we have to do is show them the power through strength that we have taken over the party. We have more votes than you do, and our voice is stronger than yours. And we're forced to be. Let me just tell you what the power of a precinct committeeman is. Right now, you probably are making phone calls to your senator's office or your local people saying, "I want my voice to be heard." Yep. Well, when you're able to say, "I'm a precinct committeeman" or "I'm a state committeeman," guess what? Their eyebrows raise because they realize that now you're more powerful than everyday Joe citizen. You now are somebody that carries a voice. You have a position of power. And when you're able to say, "I have an army of people behind me, and we're all asking for change, we're all asking for action," you're not ignored. They have to listen to you. Awesome. This is why this is so important that we do this.
Real quick, there's another question that popped up. What I know of is I think the answer is no, but the question was, is there, if I'm a delegate or if I'm a committeeman or if I get involved in this process, is there dues or fees or money? Do I have to, go to nice restaurants and hobnob? And is there go money to cocktail parties and get roofied and all that kind of stuff? You don't have to do that, right? Right. And if you see Bill Cosby, go the other way.
Got you. No, the answer is no. And I can't, again, I'm speaking for Arizona. There are no dues. I'm not in a paid position. It's a volunteer position. So I owe nothing to anybody. But when it comes time to vote, I vote my values. But with that said, people say, well, what's the commitment needed? Because people really want to know once you give this to them, they go, what am I in for? What am I signing on to? Well, I can just tell you that your legislative district, if it's like Arizona, you have a meeting once a month that's usually an hour or an hour and a half, and you simply go to the meeting and you find out the values, you find out if they're voting on anything, and you make your voice heard. So it can be 1 hour a month. You could give full time if you're retired, want to really get involved. You could organize people get more people becoming precinct committeemen, get more people registered to vote, which is probably one of your duties in your locale of what you need to be accomplishing as a precinct committeeman. But there's nobody holding something over your head saying, you're slacking or you're not really pulling your weight because you signed up for something you're not doing. And a lot of precinct committeemen argue that there should be, a certain amount of stuff you can do. But I argue that sometimes that scares people off because people have families, they're busy, their time is allotted. Look, everybody listening to me right now has the time that's needed to do what I'm talking about doing. It's nothing you need to be well-versed in. You don't need to go take classes or be educated. You simply need to say, I'm going to vote my values and I'm going to be strong in the Republican Party in my area. And enough people do this. We essentially silence the voice of the establishment, and we give the voice to those of us that are patriotic, God-fearing, flag-waving Americans.
Well, as you're speaking, I'm watching the message boards, and there's a bunch of people that are saying, I'm going to my local GOP first thing in the morning and whatnot. So they're already getting fired up about doing this, and we have listeners from all over the country. So this could represent all 50 states really quickly. And this is only the first time you've talked about this publicly, at least that I know of. And so, as we continue to do this and get you around and have more and more people listen to you, this could really grow.
Well, that would be wonderful. I'm available to do that. I can tell you what, I've been sounding this message in Arizona for a long time, but it's wonderful, and I repeat, wonderful to have the national forum, and thank you for inviting me onto Smith Radio.
Well, real quick, did you want to say anything about the transition? Like you talked all about local precinct, and that's great, and I think that's obviously the stepping point. What is there much of a bridge between that and state committeemen? I mean, what's involved in that?
Okay, so let's talk about that. I mentioned that in my legislative district, my vote is 1 out of 152. By the way, your legislative district, when you go to your state capital, you have state legislatures at your state capital.
Right.
So they're each assigned a district. So that's how your state is broken up. So when out of the 152 votes in my district, we choose out of every 3 precinct committeemen, 1 state committeeman is elected out of that group. So there's a third of the number going to the state convention. And then, of course, in Arizona, we were chosen 11 delegates to go to Cleveland, Ohio. So now out of all the people in the room at the state convention, all us that are state committeemen vote on 11 people from Arizona that got to go to Cleveland. And so it's all by voting. If you are risen to the top because people believe in you to have power in the party, and because you've got the backing and the support of other fellow conservatives, and you wanted to be a delegate, somebody was mentioning to me recently that they met a delegate that actually got to go to Cleveland, and the person really didn't seem like they had a lot going for them. They were not anybody special, nobody of prestige. And I say, absolutely, anybody.
And folks,
anybody can do this.
And folks, you're listening. I just want to introduce you again. There's a lot of folks that are coming new on the scope. You're listening to GOP leader out of Arizona, Timothy Schwartz, and he's laying out the blueprint, if you will, the very simple. This is such a simple blueprint to obtain
control,
committeemen, become a delegate, and take back the GOP party in the sense that we are patriots, we are banding together. And a lot of folks come on, and I've heard them on the radio, on Hannity's show and Rush's show, where they'll call in and they'll say, man, what can I do? I want to do something. I feel like I got to do something. And Hannity doesn't even have an answer for him. I'm not even sure if Rush has had an answer for him. And like you were saying just a second ago,
it's a mystery.
The delegate that you heard, I personally know a woman that was a delegate, and she's just your average mom. She's just a mom.
Yeah, there's nothing special.
Who got involved. I mean, when I say not a lot of money, I mean, we're all just getting by, if you will. And when she's not anything other than just a regular citizen, a mom, a Republican, someone who cares. And I think she got involved in politics because of what's going on with her local school and some of the things where the heavy hand of power is trying to come in. And so people get upset and they want to do something. Well, she actually took action. I don't know how she found out how to do it, but she took action and she became a delegate. And if she can do it, just a mom at home, certainly we all could do it. Am I right?
It's exactly right. Look, I'm nobody special. None of us, you look around the room, you go, well, who is he? But we're everyday citizens. Guess what? That's the Constitution. It was for the people, by the people, and of the people, not the elite few in bureaucratic Washington. It's for us, everyday people. And if you choose to have a voice, you can have a voice. But you need to take the steps to do what I'm talking about. It's not complicated. It's not hard. I have people that I want to sign up to be precinct committeemen, and they say, well, I don't think I know enough. And I say, come to the meetings before you make your decision. But you don't have to know anything. You don't have to take classes. You don't have to have degrees. No political science is involved. You simply need to say, I want to stand up for making America great again. And there you go. You get involved. If there's vacancy, which likely there is, you can grab that appointment. And then you recruit other people to do the same thing you did. Listen, this is the best kept secret in the United States because people don't know what they need to do. And that's why this message is so vitally important. It's crucial that we tell people you can do it. Well, this is how you do it.
Right. And think about this. Somebody else on Periscope, a lot of folks on Periscope today, just an incredible medium to where Smith Radio, if you will, we've been doing this for 4 years. Karen and I, before we actually did the show, would talk for hours and hours on end daily.
Because we were concerned.
Right. And this is where Smith Radio came out of. Our conversation, our interaction for maybe 6 years, and then Smith Radio for 4. But the whole thing is that Donald Trump is not a politician, never was a politician, and is a very unique individual in that sense that it's the first that's ever happened to where a non-politician, a non-military politician, and folks say, oh, well, generals have been elected. What they're political individuals. When you get the rank of general, 1, 2, 3, 4-star, whatever it be. So Trump, a non-political individual, becomes president of the United States, and we see the deep state. We see the dark reaches,
the shadow government, the shadow government,
the shadow government grappling and trying to rip him out of power left and right. We see the fake news. We know the fake news. It's in our face, and it's so blatant that it's unbelievable. And so we here at Smith Radio and folks out there in America want to take action. They want to do something. First thing, folks, lay down your arms. There's no shots fired here.
Yeah, this is all political, local grassroots stuff where you just go in and you become a precinct committeeman.
Right, and then the power is now in your hands to go ahead as a citizen, as someone who cares and loves their country, to go ahead and make big decisions in a voting process. And Timothy Schwartz, do you have a title, Timothy?
Well, I was the LD chairman for several years, and that stands for Legislative District Chairman. I now did not want to run for that position again because I'm getting involved with other things. I've done it, been there. I wanted somebody else to take it. So I'm serving as the first vice chairman. That means I'm second in command. That was my choice because I just done it for so long. I wanted somebody else to do it. I'm also a precinct committeeman, a state committeeman. I'm on the executive committee of the Republican Party in Maricopa County. But you know what? The badge is not important. because you don't need to have titles. You can do this. That's the important message. Let me just talk to you about, you were talking about President Trump. I was an early on supporter of Donald Trump when there was a large field of people on the stage. And it's because, and I think America woke up to this too. Here's somebody that said, I will not be politically correct. I'm not going to say things the way you want me to say them. I'm going to fight for everyday American, the person out there that needs a voice. And that's why he rose to the top, is because he wasn't given the same old Washington speech. He all of a sudden had a different message that people could relate to. And so I'm glad. Listen, we dodged a bullet last November, I think and everybody woke up the next morning and said, wow, thank you.
Well,
I'm
what's
grateful.
keeping this going is the fact that we have deep state holdovers who are, it seems to be loyal to the previous administration, and we're outraged by it. And then you see these people that claim to be Republican that are on board with this deep state Democrat push, and so that was the genesis of that scope where you found me, Timothy, and I'm really, really happy that you stumbled on my Periscope, because that's how I ended up getting hooked up with you, and you told me all this stuff, and I said, well, we got to get the word out about this. So I'm really excited. I'm going to tell you right now, we have some really motivated people that are on the scope right now talking about how they're not just going to go and try to be a precinct committee person. They're going to rally the troops and get a whole bunch of precinct committee members, and I think that'll be really awesome. And so hopefully we can keep doing this and amplify the effort and just completely take over the Republican Party so we can actually have a party that is supporting Donald Trump and supporting the movement and all of the conservative values that go along with it.
And there are a lot there are a lot of people on Periscope right now that are that are putting up, thank you, Timothy, thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been involved for a long time now, and you have the knowledge that is obvious. You said it earlier, the knowledge that the deep state or the establishment doesn't want us to know. Very simple, easy steps to go through to become a person of importance, if you will, in the GOP, in the party.
Yeah. I just think it's important that, I see the people, sitting in their lazy boys screaming at the TV, and it's important that we direct them so that they're not frustrated and tell them how they can be effective.
Right.
So that's the message today, here's what you do if you really want to be effective. Minimal action, huge amount of payback.
Right. A whole bunch of people are asking your Twitter again, so I'll just repeat that. It's at Buckaroo for you. That's BUCKROOFORU, the letter U. So
you missed the A.
I'm sorry, Buckaroo for you. Make sure you spell out for, F-O-R, but the U at the end is just the letter U. So Buckaroo for you. So I actually posted it several times on the comment section, but if you're listening on Spreaker, that's what it is. It's Buckaroo for you.
And look at the title. Look at the title. If you're on Periscope, the title of the scope, Buckaroo, is in the title. And if you are on Spreaker, I've put it up multiple times on the message board.
All right. And before we let you go, any last words? I wanted to let everybody know, too, that this is just the very, very, very beginning of this. We are going to be in regular contact with Timothy to make sure that we can continue to increase the actual education on this, especially like maybe some YouTube videos to give people a chance to share with other people so we can amplify our efforts so that they can see how simple this is and some of the things they do. And as Timothy said before, your state might be different. Your precinct might be different because of your different location. Timothy is in Arizona. And so those kinds of things you might need to learn. You might have to bird dog a little bit of knowledge and figure out exactly what you have to do in your area. So yeah, I mean, anything else, Timothy?
Well, my final comment is, first of all, say thank you to Brian and Carrie for having me on. I just believe this is a very important message. We've got to keep America going forward, and this is how you do it. Thank you. Just encourage you, and thanks for the admonition to keep this ball rolling.
Right.
We can really light a fire if we just take action. So thank you.
I'm excited. All right. Well, thanks so much, Timothy, and we will have you on as soon as we can again. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night now. Good. I mean, it was so easy. Hey, did you guys hear something else? This is motivating this week.
We have a very, very large announcement. You understand? Large.
It's large. It's huge. So large. It's huge. Folks, this is what happened this week.
So I would like to invite my good friend and your governor, Jim Justice, up to the stage.
Democrat Jim
to
Justice.
Share this news with all of you. Jim, come on up.
Democrat
come on up,
Jim
Jim.
Justice.
Look at this guy.
Democrat.
Today, I will tell you with lots of prayers and lots of thinking. Today, I'll tell you as West Virginians, I can't help you anymore being a Democrat governor.
No, not anymore.
Notice how he said Democrat.
Yeah.
Not Democratic.
No, it's a democratic process.
So tomorrow, I will be changing my registration to Republican.
Yeah.
Guys, how do you not love this president, folks? How do you not love the change that is going on? We have real change. When people say there's change, no, we've got it going on. We've got a huge movement in the Trump campaign, the Trump rally, the rallies that Trump is holding right now as president are as huge as they were during the campaign, if not much larger. I'm telling you, folks, do not listen to the mainstream media. Unplug the cable. I don't have cable. I haven't had cable.
Oh, no.
I can't even tell you how long I haven't had cable. They go find the people, the real news people, Smith Radio, please, if you will, patreon.com/Smith Radio. $1 will get you in the special secret.
The back room.
The
inner circle. The inner circle. Yeah, the Smith Radio inner circle.
The mastermind, if you will, to where we can talk and we can stay in touch, or you can message back and forth to us. $1 will get that in there. We also have some T-shirts and some coffee mugs specially made by our creative design team. We have a creative design team now.
Very talented.
Very, very talented.
Very talented.
That'll be coming out online. I'm telling you, folks, staying with us, staying with Smith Radio. There are a lot of exciting new things going on. We've got White House correspondent Shallon Gorman. Please follow her on Twitter at Shallon.
Nope.
Oh, the real Shallon.
Right.
Shall.
Because apparently Shallon and real Shallon were already taken. So she had to be the real Shallon. Right. And that's just like, when I first met her, she said it's easy to spell. Just think of the name Alan, like a male. You met an Alan. You've known Alans in your life.
Yes.
And just throw an SH on the front of it. So Shallon, just like Alan, but throw a SH on the front of it. It's real easy to remember.
And yes, I have. Oh, maybe Vanessa has seen it. We have Covfefe mugs that are specially designed for Smith Radio listeners.
By the way, there's other people that have Covfefe mugs. Brian was the first one I heard that said we need to have Covfefe mugs a long time ago.
Why wouldn't you?
Right, absolutely.
So listen to us live on Sunday evenings, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go right to the link. Direct link is smithradio.info. That'll take you right to the message board. You click on the live streaming link right there. Just click on it, and boom, you're up on the message board with Keka Stan Rose, Mary Lou, Vanessa, Sam Keels. Thank you, Sam, for all your support. Been with us. It's 4 years, but he's been with us one of the longest ones. So thank you very much, Sam, for all your support and all your help, as well as on Periscope. We're doing this live on Periscope through cell phone. However, very soon things will change over. We have a lot of new equipment coming online.
Poppy Lane wants a back rub for VIP service. That's $100 a month. If you go to $100, you get the back rub.
Whew. Who's giving those out? You giving them?
I mean, for $100 a month, somebody's got to do it.
Right. So, anyways, follow at Smith Radio. That's Carrie. Carrie is on the handle at Smith Radio, and then on Twitter at Brian P. Smith.
We need to get Brian over 10,000 followers, and here's why.
It's close.
When I cross the 10,000 follower threshold, I notice a dramatic change in my Twitter experience.
I saw the exponential growth in followers.
Right, and the reason I believe this, I mean, it's just anecdotal, but it's clear to me, based on my personal experience, that you're subject to different algorithms by Twitter once you hit 10,000 or more followers. And so I would like to get Brian up there too, so that we can redouble our efforts, because it's amazing. Like before 10,000, we'd put tweets out there and sometimes they get absolutely no interaction.
Well, not only that, but you got stuck at 6,000, 7,000 for months.
Oh yeah, months and months.
Couldn't even move.
Right, can't move. But what happened was I'd put out tweets and stuff that I thought were good, and you'd get no likes or retweets. And every once in a while there'd be some that had a couple, like maybe 4, 5, 6 interactions. As soon as I hit 10,000, just like that, snap of a fingers, I was getting dozens of interactions on the tweets, and then also I was getting a lot more followers. So it'd be nice to push Brian over the edge. We'll just have to really...
Right, I'm creeping up on 8,000. I started that about 4 or 5... 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm coming up on 8,000. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for following. I do follow back, and if you notice that I'm not following back, just DM me. Let me know.
Sometimes you can't DM unless you're following them. So just throw out a tweet. Throw out a tweet.
Yeah, and I'll follow you back. But it's at Brian, Brian, the letter P as in Paul, Smith, Smyth, at Brian P. Smith on the Twitter, and lots of great information. I treat it like a business account, if you will. I really, really do. A lot of great articles that I put out that I'll find either on Drudge Report. I'm always scouring the Drudge Report. I'm scouring Breitbart, as well as Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. And if it's fake news, I'll always put up there, hey, check out this fake news. It's laughable. Right. A lot of James Woods retweets, and Paul Joseph Watson, Mark Dice. I mean, the usual suspects, folks. That's who we follow. That's who follows us. The guys.
We had Wayne Dupree on last week.
We had Wayne Dupree on last week. Wayne Dupree follows us.
Yeah, on the chat board.
Just incredible. And this is the thing. Smith Radio is here to help make America great again. Just like we had Timothy Schwartz on, giving us the information on how to become a delegate, give us some information on how to become a local committeeman in order to gain that power back and take that away from the establishment. Smith Radio is here to help make America great again. I don't want it to be cliche, but it's true. It's true. That's what we wanted back in 2008 when we saw everything ripped away from us. We saw the fakeness of the GOP.
I was in denial in 2008.
Right. So was I. Don't get me wrong, folks.
I was in denial. It wasn't until 2012 that I started really realizing that we're in trouble.
There was a lot of growth. I definitely have faith. It says you guys, this movement has given some faith back. Absolutely. Let me tell you what we've been doing. In the first year of doing the Smith Radio, it's no lie. We were just doing this just to record it for our children in the aftermath of the coup, and the destruction, and the falling apart of America.
So that human beings from 1,000 years from now could look back and discover what happened.
I'm not joking. That's really how we were going down. Nobody was listening, and that's fine. But now we've really got an ability. We're poised in a position to make that big leap, that big move, like the Mark Dice, like the Paul Joseph Watsons, and just exposing the deep state, exposing the fake news, and then reporting on what's real, with real news. 2012 is when I started waking up, and Clinton, Ukraine, Winter Olympics. Yeah, 2012 was a huge year, folks. Don't get me wrong. We didn't know the depth and the breadth of Paul Rhino Ryan. We didn't really know how deep and how bad it was.
Remember 2012 was when he was running as VP.
Right. We didn't know how bad it was. Mitt Romney, I just gave him the benefit of the doubt because we had nobody else. Okay?
Well, I'd rather have him than Obama, is
Correct.
What it was.
And McCain, we knew McCain back in the day. We knew who he was, but we didn't have anybody else. And the news media actually chose McCain. The news media picked McCain out for us, feeding us false information. and being the darling of the media, as Rush would say it. Folks, you don't need the media to tell you who to vote for anymore. You've got us.
The media is going to tell Republicans who to vote for based on who they know is going to lose against their candidate.
Right.
So that's how we ended up with McCain.
And I love how they're always, the left is always given the right, oh, you guys want to start winning again? Well, here's what you got to do to win. Why would your enemy, the left, give you the right information to win? They won't. They
It's all
don't.
peer pressure. They're trying to peer pressure us.
And even the Rhino Republicans, they don't know how to win. Folks, stay close and stay tight to other Republicans that believe in making America great again. When you see the Trump sign, the OK finger sign, you're in good company. That's all I got to say. I mean, you're in good company.
Did you print one?
Oh, yeah. Did I? Oh, show prep.
Show prep. Stand by. Yeah, we
Did
got.
you get it?
No, I didn't get nothing. I'm no paper.
So James Woods tweeted out earlier today, and if you don't follow James Woods, you absolutely should. It's Real James Woods, at Real James Woods, and he tweeted out, I've never witnessed such hatred for a man who's willing to work for free to make his beloved country a better place. It is pathological. True, it's pathological. Think about that. Think about that. Trump is working for free.
So somebody said that I'm cheating and that's why I'm winning in the battle of Twitter followers. No. Let me explain something to you. I gotta bail Brian out here.
If you're cheating, help me. No. Dude, I work really hard.
No, I know. So this is the truth about Smith Radio and Brian P. Smith. When we first started doing this, Brian started the Twitter handle Smith Radio. And for a really long time, Smith Radio on Twitter represented both of us.
Yeah.
And we just decided between the two of us that I'll run with Twitter and he runs with Facebook. So he was doing all this stuff on Facebook. And I was
realizing how much of a waste of time it was.
Right.
Man.
And so I was focusing on Twitter. At this point in time, Brian P. Smith did not exist at all.
Well, Brian P. Smith was started initially in 2012, but nothing had ever been done with it.
Right. It was just in mothballs. So I was running hard with Smith Radio, and it represented the both of us. In fact, if you guys have been following us for a long time, you've probably seen when we had in our profile picture both of our pictures were in the profile picture, and I was just the guy who was doing the tweets. But in reality, it was supposed to be representing both of us. And then finally, a woman named Carrie Kellerman. Who here knows Carrie Kellerman?
Oh, I follow her on Twitter.
Yeah,
she's an incredible
awesome
woman.
You should all be following her. Twitter handle is Kellerman Carrie. That's with a K and Carrie with a C. Kellerman Carrie.
Yes. Poor Brian FB Facebook is crap, folks.
Yes.
I am not lying. I went headlong on Facebook
into
for
a bridge abutment.
Year.
Into a bridge abutment.
A year.
Oh, and you really were doing a lot.
Daily.
Yes, you were doing a lot.
I was blowing up daily.
How many times did you get suspended?
Oh, I got a double secret probation, at least once a week, double secret probation.
No. So Carrie Kellerman said, Carrie, people don't like to follow companies and people don't like to follow organizations. They think that nobody's manning the helm. And when they see that you're just Smith Radio and you have a microphone for people just don't want to follow that. And I was like, yeah, but we don't have two Twitter handles. We just have the one. And thankfully, Brian just started deciding, I guess at some point we had this conversation too, and he just went with the Brian P. Smith as a second Twitter handle. And then finally I was like, all right, well, I'll just turn Carrie's Smith Radio into Carrie Smith. And so I had a huge head start.
By a year.
Yeah, and at one point I think Smith Radio had like 3,000 followers and Brian had like 50.
Well, I was inspired. I was inspired to start my own handle by the Trumpocrats.
Oh, that's right.
At Trumpocrats.
You just outed them. You just outed Trumpocrats.
Yeah, but he likes us.
Who does?
The Trumpocrats.
Oh.
He was the one that inspired me. Helped start it.
He inspired you.
Yes, he retweets you all the time. He likes a lot of your. I'm like, wow, Trumpocrats. That's the way to be. So, Kekistan Rose says there is a cheat. Kekistan Rose just showed me. Said up, down, left, right, A, B, start, select.
Oh, it's select, start, not start, select. Yeah, you got to do start because if you hit start first, it just starts. Wow. So you got to do select start. That gives you 2-player. If you just hit start, you're playing 1 player. But you get 30 lives.
Sam Keel's on the and folks, I'm reading off the message board. We got 2 message boards going on. We got one on Periscope at Brian P. Smith on the Periscope. Soon that'll be changed. We're working on a lot of new equipment. And then also, if you go to smithradio.info, take you directly to the Spreaker page where you can click the link and go right to the message board on Spreaker.
I got a funny story for you, too.
And Sam Keel says World 8-3, turtle hop on the 3rd step to get 10,000 followers.
Do what?
Yeah, on World 8-3, you do the turtle hop on the 3rd step and you get 10,000 followers. Just like that.
Oh. Well, I wish I'd known that earlier.
Right. No, great guy. Folks, I love all the interaction, all the responses that we have going on.
I got a funny story for you,
This is an interactive show.
A little bit, yeah. So check this out. Brian is, if any of you guys do Periscopes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you put in a title for the Periscope, when somebody tries to share that, there'll be too many characters.
Right.
And then it won't let you tweet it. So you have to have less than the maximum allowable characters.
So just cut the title down.
So Brian's putting in the title of the show on Periscope. And he said, I got like 3 more characters left, or I got 6 more characters left. What else should I put in there? Give me another hashtag. And I was like, how do you know that you're almost out of characters? And he said, because I'm also doing it on Twitter on the computer. And it's telling me how many I have left.
Yeah.
So we start the show, and I go to post it on Twitter. We're 33 over.
No!
Yes. Look, because you forgot it says at Brian P. Smith on Periscope, :
Oh, the colon came up from down under.
So you're way overboard. So I have to delete like 6 tags just to post this thing. But I'm sharing it. Make sure you guys are sharing it too, because we need to make sure that a lot of people are getting filled in on this. So what happened this week? Anything?
No,
the
nothing
West
whatsoever.
Virginia governor, we got to that.
That's the end of the show. That's
all right, bye. No, just kidding, folks.
So West Virginia governor, we played this sound by Jim Justice, broke the news to a huge crowd of Trump supporters Thursday night rally in Huntington, West Virginia. Folks, West Virginia, these places. Oh, I'll tell you what. Gino DeFabio was on Fox and Friends. He'll tell you exactly how he feels about the mainstream media, the Democrats, people labeling us the Rust Belt, labeling us what it is. Folks, these states, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, we all felt the pain and the crush. The middle America, we felt the crush from Obama. Now no longer. So here's Gino DeFabio on Fox and Friends.
Here to react is Trump Democrat and Ohio forklift driver Gino DeFabio. Gino, now can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. All right.
Good
All
to
right.
have you
We
back.
got the satellite link up. Gino, great to see you this morning.
Welcome back to the Steel Valley. Great to have you here.
I think it was on our end, but hey, whatever. Gino, great to see you this morning. Dana Milbank has written an opinion piece that claims that Trump Democrats are as mythical as unicorns. Then what are you doing on our show this morning?
Well, I don't have a horn on my head. I don't know who they're. Maybe they're talking to people in San Francisco or Los Angeles or something, because that's certainly not the. That's not the climate here in the Steel Valley. I know that.
Gino, remind people of your story, because you have been a lifelong Democrat, right? You switched your vote parties this time and voted for President Donald Trump, and he even called you up on stage at one point.
Yeah, he had a rally in Youngstown, and I got a call from the White House, and they said that the president would like to meet you. Well, it was more than a meeting. He offered me to come on stage, which I did. But I was a lifelong Democrat up until the primaries in March. President Trump come with the message that we're going to fix things. We know what's wrong. We've been hearing from the same politicians for years. They're satisfied calling us the Rust Belt. Well, we're the Steel Valley. They're satisfied calling the people in West Virginia the coal miners. Those people worked for generations on their bellies and their backs digging coal. And when it was politically expedient for the Democrats to throw them away, they vilified them. Those were Democrats.
The Democrat Party has absolutely vilified, alienated, and pushed away the average John Q. American, the average citizen, the averge gun-loving, Christian, Bible-holding, flag saluting American, and they're paying for it. There was an article this week that said Democrats are winning small elections unbeknownst to the rest of the world, and they're beating Republicans in small elections. And so I got into the stupid article from a Huffington Post, which do not read. It's all fake news.
Totally fake.
And so you get into it, and they're like, maybe in smaller elections, 1 or 2 Democrats won versus 3 or 4 Republicans, but it's the way they word it.
Oh,
Folks,
you know what it was? They're comparing it to the fact that they were unanimously getting destroyed in every single election. They were losing everything everywhere, no matter what. And then all of a sudden, a Democrat somewhere for dog catcher wins an election, and it becomes big news as, Democrats are finally winning. There's a big turnaround, and that's how it's being reported.
You don't know how much control the dog catcher has, my man. I mean, there's a lot of political influence there in the local election. So the reason why they have to come out with that is because we've got Jim Justice flipping the script. This is not the first time a Democrat has flipped to being a Republican. This is not the first time that someone has been woke, if you will. Trump has woke these people up, and now we've got 30 governorships to Republican, 30 governorships to the Democrat 15 governorship. I mean, I'm serious. We are winning big. We got jobs numbers out this week. I got a whole section on good news. You guys want to hear about good news?
Well, real quick about all that winning. Okay. Real quick, I want to tie it to the beginning part of our show, which you guys should have listened to intently. And if you're listening to this just now, make sure you go back and listen to the first segment, where we take over the GOP. We take over the Republican Party. So when we're winning all these elections over and over and over again, and a perfect example is GA06, Georgia, 6th District,
right,
where there was a big primary, and the Rhino won the primary and then went on to win the election, right? So we have a Rhino. By the way, she was all over Twitter, right? She was all over Twitter. As soon as she got elected, she abandoned the Twitter account. Guess how I found out?
How's that?
I have a program that lets me know when a Twitter account goes inactive for a month.
Right. Well, I think you go back to 90 days and then to a year, or whatever the selection is.
1 month after the election, inactive following. This woman, I'm following her, haven't touched a Twitter in a month. I'm
what a shame.
Well, the point is we take over. you got to be careful. We take over the GOP, and that way it makes more of an impact when we are taking over the country by winning elections. We're not just electing rhinos all over the place. Electing rhinos, who cares? Who cares whether or not a Republican or a Democrat is winning elections across the country if the Republicans that are winning are all these rhinos like in GA06, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So please listen to the beginning of the show and take action. Big time. We got to take over the Republican Party. So back to winning.
Winning, folks. Winning. Got some really good news. We'll start off with the thing that happened with Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence this week. Very upset, very distraught. Fake news. New York Times, folks. Okay, I guess somebody on Periscope says, I'm not an American, but what is the sewer? The sewer is the people that are fighting us from having what we originally were founded on, were personal freedoms, personal responsibility, what the Constitution states and limits the government. We here in America are in a unique situation, the first of its kind that has never been seen in all of human history, to where our country was founded
by the citizens.
By the citizens, where the government was beholden to the people. That's called American exceptionalism. There's nothing special about us other than the fact we are the exception to the rule. And the rule was kings, queens, pontiffs, dictators, no POTUS, but dictators and despots, if you will. People that would rule by power, by hook or by crook, whatever it took, and they would rule their people. America, the opposite way around. The government is beholden to the people. And now we have so many of these power-hungry, money-hungry fools in it right now that we need to drain the swamp of these creatures.
Yeah,
these creatures in the swamp. So Mike Pence upset today. The New York Times ran an opinion piece, an article, really awful piece, saying that that Mike Pence is running for president in 2020?
Of course he would, right? Of course he would.
Come on, man. It doesn't get any worse than that fake news. So here's what Mike Pence took.
Did somebody troll them on that? Did somebody say, hey, let's start spreading around that Mike Pence is so upset and so embarrassed by the Trump, presidency that he's going to just use the VP situation to springboard himself in 2020?
Right, 2020.
Makes no sense.
No, not at all. So check this out. Because there's only 140 characters on Twitter, Mike Pence wrote out a paragraph and then posted that on Twitter as a picture. And this is what Mike Pence said. He said, today's article in the New York Times is disgraceful and offensive to me, to my family, and our entire team. The allegations in this article are categorically false and represent just the latest attempt by the media to divide this administration. Now, folks, you know that that's what they have to do. They have to divide us from Trump and divide Trump from his appointed individuals. Okay, so Mike Pence goes on to say, thanks to the president's leadership, we are rebuilding the military. ISIS is on the run, and that's a fact, folks. ISIS is on the run. We've seen more than 1 million jobs created. 6 months into his presidency, 1 million jobs created, while the stock market hits all-time highs. And I don't know if you all remember, but the mainstream media couldn't stop screaming about the stock market when Obama was in power. Now nothing, silent, and the stock market is ripping and roaring through. The American people know that I could not be more honored to be working side by side with a president who is making America great again. Whatever fake news may come our way, my entire team will continue to focus all our efforts to advance the president's agenda and see him reelected in 2020. Any suggestions otherwise is both laughable and absurd.
So I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this. So somebody at the New York Times hears from somebody or somewhere that Mike Pence is going to run in 2020. And the first thing that should be coming out of their thought process is this real? Is this true? You would think that there'd be a little bit of due diligence done by this author to verify whether or not this is true. Is there no shame anymore? Wouldn't you be worried, Brian? Wouldn't you be a little bit concerned as a journalist to publish an article in the New York Times, no less, with such an audacious claim, with the possibility of it coming back being completely 100% false? Wouldn't that worry you just a little bit?
Well, in the right frame of mind, an intelligent individual may be worried. However, when they say that liberalism is a mental disorder, this is where it's taken them. They really are mentally deranged.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not entertaining the possibility that this could even remotely be true. I'm entertaining the possibility that you've got to be completely shameless and insane and pathological and sociological. Wait, is that right? Sociopathical in order to print something like this. And what is wrong with the editor of the New York Times that they would take this article and say, yeah, seems legit, we'll go ahead and post that? I mean, they're not even the least bit concerned about any credibility whatsoever.
The senior editor says, yeah, sure, run with it, man, see what happens.
That sounds good.
You see how many likes and retweets you get on that?
Oh my God, is what he was saying. He was thinking, oh, we've got a barn burner story here. We need to put this in there. And it's just crazy. Like, they don't even care about credibility anymore. It's just like CNN. Well, I predicted it. I was the first person to predict this, and I was dead on right. And that is when Project Veritas completely destroyed all remaining credibility, which is very little, left of CNN, with all those tapes that verified that CNN was aware of the fact that Russiagate is a hoax. They're totally aware of it, totally aware of the hoax of Russiagate, and yet they're still doing it. And the undercover video proves that they knew. They knew it was a hoax. They thought it was a hoax. They knew it was a hoax, and they run with it every single day anyway. And what was my prediction? My prediction was that they are going to act like this didn't even happen and they're just going to continue, just like the WWE does not react to people who accuse them of being fake wrestling. They don't react to it. They just keep on going because there's people out there who are going to continue to believe that the WWE is real wrestling. So why even address it? Same thing with CNN. They didn't. They're just like, you know what? We're going to act like this didn't even happen because they know that there's going to be sheep out there who are going to continue to believe that they are 100% real news. And we got into it at the poker table the other day. We found when a guy found out, a social justice warrior cuck found out that we were a political show and that we were pro-Trump. He started questioning me about Russiagate and said, well, what about the secret meetings in Madagascar? Did you know it? Have you ever heard of that?
No, never.
I said, listen, I've been doing Smith Radio journalism for 4 years. I'm on the Bill Mitchell's Your Voice Radio. We're constantly scouring every corner of the earth for news that comes out, whether it's on popular publications, some more theory, conspiracy theory type sites, or just anything that somebody's coming out with on the ground, including listening to what the fake news has to say. We listen to it because we have to weigh the validity of whatever they're reporting. And also, we got to report to you what makes the things that CNN say fake and false.
Right.
I told the guy, I said, I have not heard this story. And if I haven't heard this story, that's a problem. He started accusing me of not doing my research and not knowing what I'm talking about, and saying, well, you need to look up all the secret meetings that were happening with Trump and his personnel in Madagascar. And I'm like, how could there be any? How could you sit there and say that? And I haven't heard it on CNN. If there was any, even if this was even remotely true, or even if there was any kind of validity whatsoever, I would have at least heard it on New York Times, CNN. And I'm not trying to give them credit for being valid, but there's a certain level where CNN knows that if they cross this line, that it's just not going to work. And this guy was going off. Google it, dude. Google it. Google it. You need to Google Madagascar, Trump, Putin meetings. I'm telling you, it's there. And so the moral of the story is that there's always going to be those sheep out there. They're just going to believe whatever. They're going to believe it.
And so when Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, pulled back the curtain, this is what we heard.
Powerful laws. I said come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you'll keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now. Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful.
So yeah, we're probably going to get banned from YouTube for life.
I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'm going to get in trouble for that one, but I had to play it, folks, because that's what this is. The Emperor Obama, when he was running as emperor, the emperor had lost his clothes. He had no clothes, and now we have the curtain ripped back.
Which, by the way, the producers of the shows on CNN and the editors of these fake rags like your New York Times and your Washington Post, especially Washington Post, collectively together as a group are pretty much the Oz behind the curtain.
Yes.
It's the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
They're the ones that are coming up and acting like, all this stuff is real and all this stuff is happening and Russiagate is real. And we just pull back the curtain and say, this is who's telling you this, and it's all lies. It's not real. That big floating head with the fire going around it, it's all an illusion.
Right.
Totally an illusion.
Smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. So to wrap up some great news that happened this week, great information that's come out. Donald Trump tweeted out earlier this week, Toyota and Mazda to build a new $1.6 billion plant here in America, create 4,000 new American jobs, a great investment in American manufacturing. You can't make this up. And then Mark Dice, folks don't follow Mark Dice, at Mark Dice, pretty good guy. There's no question about that.
It's a good guy.
Good guy. And Mark Dice put up a meme. One half of it showed Obama's face, and the other half was Trump, so it's juxtaposition the two. Underneath Obama, it said Obama created $3 billion in new regulations in his first 5 months as president. Then underneath Trump, in Trump's first 5 months as president, wiped out $22 billion worth of regulations. I'm telling you, you might not feel it right now because there's a lot of things that Trump is doing right now that take time to take effect.
There's going to be a delayed reaction to the regulations being removed.
But when you rip away that many regulations and you allow that much more of a free enterprise to create and build and get excited about the economy, and as they were saying that
think of it this way. Imagine if somebody fills your gas tank full of sugar.
What? You got sugar in your tank?
And you drive around it with it until your car is almost completely stopped. And then somebody goes into the gas tank and removes all the sugar and fills it back up with gasoline. Well, you still have all the lines and the fuel pump and all that, and it takes a while for that to get cleaned out. So right now, from the time that Trump, between the time that Trump removes these regulations and the time that you really start to see the vehicle driving with some performance behind it, is the time that it takes for the rest of the sugar in all those gas lines that go all the way to the engine to be cleared out of the sugar, right?
Correct.
And if you're an auto mechanic out there, you're probably your ears are bleeding right now because you know that when you get the sugar in the gas tank, you pretty much have to do the complete overhaul.
Yeah, if you got sugar in your tank, there's a lot of things you got to do to get that sugar out your tank.
Well, no, I'm saying the elimination of the regulations is like taking the tank off and replacing it with a new tank. Yeah, taking it off, and replacing it with a new one, and filling it up with fresh gas.
So you got to get new parts if you want to get rid of the sugar.
I don't even know. Is this double entendre? I don't know.
No, my friend.
I'm not following. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Something else really, really, really big that kind of flew under the radar that not many people had heard about. Did you hear about Rand Paul this week?
No, I haven't actually. What happened?
Rand Paul is currently, according to sources familiar with the
of course, they're familiar with the topic. They're familiar with something.
People familiar with Rand Paul. Rand Paul and his ideologies. Apparently, Rand Paul is advising President Trump right now on a potential executive order that would actually repeal and replace Obamacare. Trump has the ability. There's a lot of things Trump has the ability to do, but nobody is telling him how to do it because they don't want him to.
Right.
Well, when it was Obama that was in power, he had all the snakes and the swamp creatures coming and slithering out. Had all the lawyers, the dirty lawyers, had them all coming out and say, "Oh man, I'll tell you what. Here's what you can get away with. You do this, and
it's
kind
of
like
you
flip this burger to do this, man.
It's kind of like trying to do your own taxes as opposed to having an awesome CPA who knows all the loopholes.
No, you have the IRS do your taxes.
Oh, the IRS themselves does the
and they like you and want to see you become wealthy.
That's a great analogy. It's like the difference between trying to do a legal tax return yourself and do it so that it's the most beneficial for you, as opposed to having the IRS do it themselves.
Correct.
And somebody in the IRS that's been doing it for like 30 years, and he knows every single regulation and loophole. So that's like Trump right now. Trump is trying to run the government with people actively trying to hide from him, hide information from, hide techniques and skills from him, and undermine him.
As well as leaking to damage the presidency.
As opposed to Obama, who was surrounded by people who wrote the laws and regulations and all these little different things, who are like, "Oh, Mr. Obama, do you know what? Are you even aware?"
And he says, "No, you can't do that." And they're like, "Oh, You can, because we wrote this other piece in that nobody sees.
We exempted you from all laws.
And we've got 860 regulations that are hidden in the back door, if you will.
You can backdoor everybody. Yep.
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
So right now, Trump is trying to navigate, he's navigating this labyrinth, if you will, and picking up people along the way who have knowledge and understand the red tape in order to get him through all of this. I would love to see him use – I'm not the biggest fan of executive orders, but right now, I mean, we're at the point of martial law right now, literally. We've got to take the reins, pull back on these horses, slow this thing down.
He needs to actually declare martial law on the deep state. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean,
martial law on the deep state. That's what he needs.
Start reining this thing in. So, Rand Paul, we won't go into it too much, but if you can do what you do, this would be incredible, and we would be very, very appreciative, and so will America. And just it is what it is. So we've got a lot of good people in there. They just need to help direct him in the right manner, if you will. And with that, would you like to talk about the shadow government and the deep state?
We always do, don't we? Let's do it. Let's do it.
So what are we going to do tonight? Same thing we do every night.
It's always going after the deep state. I don't know how we haven't been audited.
This is painful. Yeah. And this really and truly hurts.
Does Trump make you feel like you're crazy? That's the impression I'm getting.
Oh, my God. Are you calling me crazy?
Yes. Yes, we are. Social justice warriors. Absolutely.
So what's going on with this Mueller thing? This Mueller thing is getting a little bit out of control, if you ask me. And now we've got...
talking about the investigation into... Well, now we got a grand jury.
A grand jury. And what does that mean? A grand jury has been convened, which I don't know. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even think... this may even be fake news, folks. I'm serious. Because the only way a grand jury can be convened is if there's a crime committed.
Well, they need the grand jury in order to open up the tools needed to gather evidence of some crime that they think might have happened.
Isn't that an investigator's job? Why would that be grand jury thing?
Oh, Poppy Lane said there are no crimes. Well, wait until we open up. Oh, there's going to be crimes. There's going to be crimes against humanity. We're going to find them. They have to make them.
Yeah. You want to talk about the crimes? The crimes are listed out. You read. Page 36 will blow your mind.
Yeah, they're talking about Trump's taxes. So one of the things that Rush Limbaugh was ahead of everybody for over a week on this, and I thought this was kind of interesting. He pointed out long before that the investigation by Mueller was really underway, no grand jury yet. There was no, I didn't believe that a grand jury was even going to happen. That's how long ago this was. And Rush Limbaugh pointed out that what this investigation under Mueller, with all of his Clinton attorneys hired, all these pro-Democrat attorneys that are working for him, really amount to is government-sanctioned OPPO research. So what they're going to do is...
What's OPPO research mean?
It's opposition research that normally when you have a campaign, when a party has a campaign, the Democrat Party is going to have some sort of election, and they have this campaign going like in 2016, they had the Hillary campaign, and you had Trump running, and also all the other primary candidates. They're going to do opposition research on their opponents in order to use against them in commercials and flyers, and also on the campaign trail they're going to go and talk about these things at rallies. And so you have to dig into people's past in order to do the opposition research and then use that accordingly. Sometimes they'll find something really bad and they'll hold on to it, and that'll be called the October surprise. So they'll keep it secret, and at the very last minute when it has the most impact, then they'll release it, and that would be like October surprise. But all this opposition research takes hundreds of man-hours, millions of dollars. So much money is dumped into opposition research. It's a very important thing.
How much did Paul Ryan pay NBC News for the auto tape of Billy Bush and Trump, where, if you're famous, they'll let you grab them in the posse. If you're famous.
If you're famous.
Right, how much money did NBC receive
Oh, probably a lot.
But that's opposition research. You got to pay for stuff like that.
Right,
that
so
ain't
it's expensive.
Free. That ain't free.
And also just the manpower to find this stuff, to go out and start digging and searching and looking into everything. People have to go and interview family members and friends. Trump has thousands of previous employees, associates, and all this stuff. And Oppo research people will be going around and trying to interview these people and see if they can dig up any dirt. Right. And it takes a lot of man hours, a lot of traveling, millions of dollars, and that's what campaign contributions are for. You have to go out and raise this money so that it can fund opposition research in addition to all kinds of marketing, like your commercials and all that kind of stuff. So how does that relate to the Mueller investigation? So what they're trying to do, according to Rush Limbaugh, is do government-sanctioned and government-funded Oppo research for the Democrat Party. So how does that work? So you have Mueller, who's been sanctioned by the government to do research on Donald Trump in order to find out whatever he can find out that may get somebody charged with a crime. It could be related to collusion with Russia. It could be related to anything that they might stumble upon along the way. And also, in the course of doing this, just facts that might be used, that they may find or they may ask for in order to support their investigation. I'll give you an example. Tax returns, financial information, financial statements, this kind of paperwork. All this stuff would be subpoenaed by the Mueller investigation, and it would all be paid for by the tax dollars. And how would this become opposition research? How would it become actionable? How would it work that the Democrat Party would then obtain this information to use against Trump and whoever else in subsequent elections?
And there's no rule, there's no regulation, there's nothing. Mueller can go as far back as he wants.
He'll go all the way back to when Trump was.
He can go back further than that. He can go back and do whatever he wants. It's free reign. Free reign.
So how would this become actionable? The deep state, who has access to all this stuff, this would be the government, permanent employees that are loyal to Democrats and Obama, Hillary, whoever, would then leak this. They would take it, they would steal it from the government because they work there. I'm talking about actual employees of the government. They'll have it in their hand, and they'll walk out with it, and they'll hand it right over to the Democrats. And now normally the Democrats wouldn't be able to take this because it's stolen property or whatever, espionage, if you will. So they'll leak it to the press. Once the press has it, it's open, free reign, whatever. They start to play it in on the news. They start to play it on the internet in the form of articles, internet articles. Then it becomes a part of the public sphere, and with that, the Democrats have their opposition research all there, free for the taking. It's all there, and you're probably thinking, well, if Trump did nothing wrong, then you got nothing. Let me tell you something about socialism, Marxism, and all this stuff that the Democrats are involved in order to propagandize the sheep out there. You don't need to even have a law broken. If you could say, oh, he's a rich guy, he's a 1%er, and we all know that 1%ers are inherently evil, and you don't want to vote for somebody evil, do you? And so, you show them financial statements that are either showing him at best to be just very, very, very rich, which we all know that's true, or they could show they might be able to prove that Trump isn't as rich as he was trying to say he was. And all of a sudden you think, well, that's good, right? You were just saying the 1%ers are going to get trashed for being rich, right? Well, no, now they're going to use that. No matter what they find, they're going to spin it in a way that's positive for them and negative for Trump. And so if they find out that he's worth less than what he claimed he was, they'll say, see that? He's lying. He's not what he's made out to be. You guys think he's so successful. He's a failure. He's a failure at this, failure at that.
The joke of all that is that every time they uncover a rock thinking they found some kind of dirt on Trump, it backfires. Like just now on Matt Drudge, he titled an article, Dems Fear Blowback by Russia Probe. I'm serious. Don't think it's not going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's it's going that I feel good hearing that being reported, because I think it should. I think one of the greatest things about America today, compared to just, 5-10 years ago, not very long ago, is that people have been woken up big time.
Oh, and everybody's more engaged than I've ever seen before.
More engaged, but also they're not taking crap anymore. It used to be that you get these people who would get, a wild hair up their butt and decide, I'm going to go out and do something. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to go to this rally. And these are people that are just normal people that have 9-to-5 jobs, work wherever. And all of a sudden you get this big rally, and some Democrat named Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings goes out there and says, they were yelling at me.
You're racist.
Well, not only that, but I heard the N-word.
Yeah, they dropped the N-bomb on me.
And I got spat upon.
Spat.
Because the guy was screaming and he was really passionate, and maybe a little spittle came out. He spat upon me.
Yes.
And so next thing you know, you got these accusations of racism, and they always paint in very broad brushes. I'm talking rollers, really, really broad brushes. So when you hear that the Tea Party or a Tea Party member or somebody at a Tea Party rally was dropping the N-bomb and spitting at black people and black representatives, congressmen, whatever, all of a sudden the entire country gets worried, because now if their colleagues at work find out that they're associated with a group that has been accused of dropping the N-bomb in a public place or spitting on people, whatever. And by the way, these people that are doing this, which by the way, it didn't happen. Didn't happen.
No, it never happened.
It's totally fake news. But if it did happen, a lot of times you find out that these people that are doing this are Democrat operatives.
Right.
It would have been very easy for a Democrat to go to a Tea Party rally acting like he's a conservative and start dropping the N-bomb. Have it be caught on tape. Next thing you know, the entire movement is destroyed.
Well, yeah, and then you get people like Glenn Beck, who was at the original head of the Tea Party.
He would hate to hear you
helping
say that.
helping to drive the force, did an incredible job. Million Man March on the reflecting pool at D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, N-bomb drops, accused N-bomb drops. Allegedly, for people familiar with the N-word, allegedly. And Glenn Beck runs away. Complete coward.
I think he did a lot for the Tea Party movement, but he also, as a strong leader of it, was responsible for it collapsing.
We don't believe Glenn Beck. He's lost all credibility. On Periscope, I agree 100%.
Real quick before I make my point with regards to Glenn Beck, his serials are so good that it is a shame that he has destroyed his credibility, because now people aren't going to go and hear his serials. His serials are so good. Same thing, Mark Levin. He really hurts his credibility by bashing all over Trump. But his books, Ameritopia and his new one that came out, these are books that I think are so good that I think it should be absolutely required before you graduate from high school, if not required for just about any degree in college, for sure. And it's a shame that they've destroyed their credibility. And same thing with Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck mainly destroyed because of his friends that he lets on the program with him. Pat, Stu, all those people are really what's wrong with Glenn Beck. But he's got these serials that are so good, and it's just a shame that he's destroyed his. So I just want to throw that out there. If you get a chance to listen to his serials, get past the fact that he's a total moron with regards to Donald Trump and the Trump movement and what he's done to destroy the Tea Party.
Yeah.
If you can get past that, his serials are awesome. Back to my point.
I can't get past it, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. Back to the point. We are not susceptible to this peer pressure anymore. We're not susceptible. We have been inoculated on the false accusations of racism. I can't tell you, Brian, when the last time it's been that I've seen somebody cower down to an accusation of misogyny, of bigotry, of racism. Instead of saying, "Oh, no, I'm not," instead of reacting that way, they're like, "Prove it. Name me an example. You tell me when I've said something that's racist. You tell me when Trump has said something racist. I challenged the guy. I said he called him colluding with Russia or whatever, the guy at the poker table. I said, when? And he talked about Madagascar. I was like, sounds like fake news to me. Who here has heard anything?
Oh,
yeah, totally fake news.
Oh, I watched Madagascar with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's a movie.
How many Russians are in it? Sacha Baron Cohen, who plays a guy that's close to Russia, Kazakhstan.
He played a Russian. He played a Kek.
Kekistan.
He played from Kekistan.
Kazakhstan. Yeah. But Kazakhstan's not a real place. Would that have been part of the
USSR is not a real place either anymore.
Right.
So we've made the connection.
Touche.
We've made the connection that Madagascar is Sacha Baron Cohen connected indirectly, directly through USSR and Kekistan.
Through Kekistan.
It's
not Kekistan. It's actually Kazakhstan. Okay.
Kekistan Rose has to differ on that one, but
oh,
that's
really?
okay.
Sorry about that.
No,
okay.
So it comes full circle to where it's all fake news. Sorry, man, fake news.
Right.
So
we're not taking that crap anymore.
No more.
And that's the thing that I love about America now. It's so refreshing to know that we're on the right. We're in the correct. We're on the right side of history, and we're the moral, honest side. The other side are the immoral liars.
Right.
And we've so successfully branded them that way that when they call us a racist, we just crack up and say, we all know how much of a liar you are. And we all know how truthful our side is. So fine, call us racist all you want. You're just going to, if you upset me and if you upset my followers, you know what that means. We go to the ballot box and we vote against whoever it is that you're trying to run.
Correct. So Lou Dobbs tweeted out this week, I was actually probably just a little while ago, Lou Dobbs tweeting out, Tillis and Graham, shameful place in history, bills to protect Mueller's Russia hoax, Washington Post.
Okay.
Did you hear about this?
Protect Mueller's Russia hoax, WAPO. No, I haven't heard that.
The GOP, the deep state, which the GOP is part of that.
Oh, they're trying to block him from firing him.
Right.
So right before they went on recess, they passed a bill. I think it's unenforceable. First of all, a bill is not a law. A bill is the beginning stages of a law.
Did you learn this?
Yes. Yes. It's all about the bill and what is it? Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock. Hey, who remembers Schoolhouse Rock? If you remember Schoolhouse Rock, give a bunch of hearts on the Periscope.
You've got to be at least 41 years old to remember Schoolhouse Rock. Because I'm 41 and I was very young when Schoolhouse Rock was really in its heyday. But anyway, they had a cartoon about how a bill goes through. And anyway, so it's a bill, it's not a law yet. It has to go across President Trump's desk, and he's got to sign it for it to be law. So I think it's theater, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, it also shows to the people that don't like Trump. It's smoke and mirrors, if you will. They're trying to drum up the negative press, negative things on Trump, saying that, look, even the GOP, even Republicans are signing on the bills and trying to stop Trump. And the reason why they're trying to stop Trump is because the Russia thing is real. It's not fake.
We can't let Russia be running our government.
Right.
We have to stop that. It's our moral duty. It's our patriotic duty.
Right. So GOP attempt to block Trump from firing Mueller. Thom Tillis, Thom, whatever, however you pronounce it.
It's Thom, yeah.
Thom.
Yep.
Thom Tillis, R in front of his name, a Republican in North Carolina. Not a true Republican, but R in front of his name, along with Christopher A. Coons, Coons, Democrat from Delaware. The pair of senators unveiled legislation on Thursday to prevent President Trump from firing special counsel Robert S. Mueller III, I didn't know he's a third, without cause, or at least a good enough reason to convince a panel of judges. Lindsey Grahamnesty, South Carolina Republican, and Cory Booker, Democrat, New Jersey, each seek to check the executive branch's ability to fire a special counsel by putting the question to a 3-judge panel from the federal courts. Hey, that's nice that these senators are trying to check the executive branch's ability. Where do we get these senators, these Republicans trying to check Obama's ability?
Well, it's not about checking. It's about taking power away and usurping power from one branch of the government to the other. And it's never been that way before, and it's really disturbing. But it's not going to pass. It's just it's all for show. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. He could fire Mueller if he wants to, and why hasn't he fired Mueller? So there's a theory floating around. Might have started with Bill Mitchell, although when Bill Mitchell first mentioned it, it was more of a, I wonder if this is the case. But he did, outside the box thinking. I heard him say, and then it's been floating around as a theory with more and more and more people, and that is that the fighting between him, Mueller, Sessions, all this stuff is theater.
Yes.
And guess what happened today? Reports are out that Sessions asked for resignation to Donald Trump. He said, I want to resign. And Donald Trump refused.
No, sorry, man.
He said, we are
denied.
We are going to chain you to your desk. So to me, remember, Donald Trump's treatment of Sessions led everyone to believe that he wanted him out, but that he didn't want to be the one to fire him. He wanted him to resign. Sessions responded by saying, no, I'm staying. I love my job. I want to continue to serve the people of the United States, and so I'm going to stay. And that left a lot of people scratching their head. It left people thinking, well, isn't it pretty obvious that Trump wants him gone? I mean, he's accosting him. I mean, he's really, really, really treating him bad. But he said, no, I'm staying. And then Trump continued to badmouth him beyond that. And now we're hearing that when Sessions asked if he could resign, Trump says, no, I'm not going to let you. To me, it sounds like this whole thing was theater.
Fake news.
Well, that they created the fake news by making it sound like this is what we want everybody to believe, but in reality it was a big distraction on purpose. So they're misdirecting their enemies is what it seems like. So it turns out that everybody who's subscribed to that theory seemed to be proven right.
So they're saying who created this doesn't make sense, and chess game. Yes, this is a chess game. There's no question about 4D chess, if you will.
17D chess.
Was that Cernovich?
No, that was Paul Joseph Watson. Paul Joseph Watson said, what is this, 17D chess? I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
If you're not following PJW, Prison Planet, definitely follow him. He's one of the good guys.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot believe anybody could be listening to us and not be following Prison Planet. Yeah, we've been a big fan of his since before day one, pretty much.
Oh, without a doubt. So check this out. We've got Lindsey Graham deep in the deep state with Cory Booker trying to check Trump, but nobody checked Obama back in the day. Nobody. Now, grand jury convened. Reports say grand jury convened, but I don't know. And now they're saying the grand jury has issued subpoenas in conjunction with Trump Jr. Russian lawyer meeting. Goal is to destroy POTUS. Okay, now, hold on. Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian lawyer, and that's air quotes for those of you on Spreaker, but for those of you on Periscope, you can see that, quote, Russian lawyer, because she was not she might have been a lawyer, but she had nothing. I mean, just like I opened up an account for Smith Radio on a Russian Facebook account, and so now Smith Radio is Russian social media account. Smith Radio's Russian social media account says it's fake. It's fake. I just can't believe it. Not only can I not believe it, but Donald Trump Jr. has nothing to. He's not employed by the government. He doesn't. He's not under any rules or regulations where he could meet with anybody. He can meet with anybody he wants to. Not only can he meet with anybody he wants to, but there's no law on the book that says that Trump can't meet with somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's the president of the United States. I mean, what? Who gets to decide who he can and can't meet with at this point?
Right. Well, not only that, but he is doing this to help make America great. So obviously he's going to meet with anybody and everybody that can meet with.
Yeah, and there were some issues like with General Flynn meeting with some people that were of Russian descent. That it turns out that that was like his job to do that. And so it becomes ridiculous to the point now where it's like, oh, like the meeting when they were the Putin meeting.
Yes.
It's like, oh, did you hear President Trump had a hour-long or a 2-hour-long private meeting with Putin? This is a scandal. How is it that the president of the United States can't have any kind of a damn meeting with the president of some other country?
You don't know, Carrie. It was an hour, 14 minutes, and 38 seconds.
And there was no recording devices in there to broadcast it publicly, live, uninterrupted, and unedited. This is a scandal.
And he wouldn't give us an audience to ask questions.
He
gosh. Turned his nose. Trump turned his nose up at the fake media and walked away.
He's turning his nose up to the First Amendment.
Of course. Of course. He's taken straight to Twitter to hook up Smith Radio.
He's lit up a cigar with the Constitution. He lit it up and then lit a cigar with it. Just totally destroyed it because you obviously have to be against the First Amendment if you're not letting CNN access to everything.
Right, correct. So InfoWars put out an article, this retweeted by Paul Joseph Watson. Witch hunt. Russian collusion investigation includes tenants who rented apartments in the Trump Tower. CNN admits Mueller's probe unconnected to the 2016 elections. So you got a two-part fold article there. Part of the article is saying that this witch hunt is absolute insanity because they're looking at tenants at the Trump Tower.
Because they're connected. They're staying
right. There might be a Russian in there.
Well, the fact that they are staying in the hotel of Trump, who we know is a puppet that has been installed in the U.S. government by Putin himself.
Right.
So for you to stay at a hotel, was it a hotel or an apartment?
Oh, Trump Tower.
So hotel?
Trump Tower.
Is that a hotel? Or
it's a tower, man.
All right, so they're at the tower. For you to even be in that facility connects you to the Kremlin directly.
Yes, this is a waste of tax dollars. There's no question about that. Waste of tax dollars. Don't get upset about this, folks. We're talking about this in the sense that this is comedy gold, if you will. Kekistan Rose says, breaking news. Russia has ties to Russia. Stand by for updates. Yes. That's really what this is. You've got to laugh about it. You got to, folks, the truth.
There are people very concerned about it.
A lie makes it all the way around the world while the truth is still trying to put its pants on. Folks, we got the truth putting its pants on right now. The truth is coming around. It's coming out, and so many people, the polls out there now, so many people do not want to hear any more about this. They don't believe it, and it's all done. The only people who are involved, the only players involved in this this scandal, if you will, are the mainstream media and the Democrats.
Yeah, CNN, who's already admitted that it's a big nothing burger. Flat out.
Oh, my God, Putin's horse is an American spy. Hey, that was funny. That came off of Periscope. Folks, you're listening to Smith Radio Live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We have this second week in a row, we've done a full Periscope at Brian P. Smith on the Periscope. Follow at Smith Radio on Twitter as well. What we do here is we get out the information that you may or may not have heard. We give you our take on it. Kerry Smith, right over there, was in the Marine Corps, and I was in the Air Force. We're cousins. We've been doing this for about 10 years in the sense that we would talk on the phone for hours and hours on end about these issues and these topics.
Mainly because you were 2,000 miles away.
Right.
And so it was on the phone.
Right. And we would crack each other up. It was entertaining. It's just like the show. So then after about 6 years of this, we finally said, you know what? We got to document this because, when the country falls apart, at least this time capsule will be unveiled and they'll see where it's gone.
I'll never forget the first time we talked politics.
Thank you so much.
I trolled Brian big time. I trolled him.
He brings this up, and I don't know.
I'll never forget it. Brian started talking about something with regards to politics, and I started playing devil's advocate. I started saying stuff like, yeah, but what about the children? And I was totally playing it straight. And Brian started getting more and more upset, and then he's like screaming on the phone. It was like distorted. I had to hold the phone away from my head. He was like screaming. And finally I said, Brian, I'm just kidding. I don't believe any of that crap. And he was like, oh, man, you're trying to whatever. Like, yeah, so it was hilarious.
I don't remember that. I really don't. Maybe I'm sure it happened.
Yeah, I like to play the old devil's advocate. And it's easy for me. It comes naturally because I used to be a bleeding heart liberal. I used to be atheist, all this kind of stuff. So I can look back and draw on. I can actually method act those positions because I was there at one point, and I remember why I believe those things. And when I try to do the devil's advocate, I think about exactly what they believe in, and that allows me to properly, like, I don't miss any details when it comes to playing devil's advocate on the liberals.
Yes, no, definitely. So real quick, Adam Schiff, if you don't know, he is the pencil neck geek. If you ever look at him on the it's the committee, the
Intel.
The Intel committee.
Yeah.
The pencil neck geek that is very nice and very in bed with CNN. So he's on CNN, the Democrat, praising McMaster and talking about how he's a good man who's being targeted by the Russians. And it's telling who the Democrats are pulling for. Just listen to the Democrats and who they pull for. Okay. And then you'll be able to see as well as we do. We know who Adam Schiff is. We know what he wants. When he opens up the session about ready to speak to Comey, he goes into a 30-minute tirade about Russia, Russian collusion. So we know how demented Schiff is. But here's Schiff on CNN talking to Jake Tapper about McMaster's.
The nationalist wing of President Trump's political coalition has been...
Okay, that's Jake Tapper, the national wing of Trump's coalition.
What does that even mean?
Well, you know what he's trying to do.
The national wing. Is there an international wing? Or is there a local wing? What are we talking about, the national wing? I don't even... I know what he was attempting to do there. He was trying to say the Nazi wing.
Correct. That's exactly what it meant. And just real quick, folks, on Periscope, no, I don't believe that everybody should agree with our opinions.
Right.
At all costs. I don't. Everybody's got their own opinion. And here, that's on Smith Radio. Espouse your own ideas. Throw them up on the message board. Throw them up on the Periscope. If it's good enough, you may get attention. Otherwise, if you troll too much, you might get bad attention and not be able to come
Don't
back
get bad attention. Don't get bad attention.
I have to tell my 9-year-old daughter, hey, was that good attention or bad attention? No, Daddy, that was bad attention. So don't do it then.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay, here's Shiftless.
The nationalist wing of President Trump's political coalition has been waging a full-bore information campaign, sometimes misinformation campaign, to remove Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster.
He just said misinformation campaign.
He knows all about that.
What campaign has Trump ever been involved in that was misinformation?
Good question.
Don't know, and he won't give you that answer. However, CNN has been exposed as misinformation.
CNN's a big nothing burger.
A nothing burger, that's right, from CNN.
From his position as President Trump's national security advisor, the New York Times is reporting that the top hashtag among 600 Twitter accounts linked to Russian influence operations on Thursday was hashtag Fire McMaster. What can you tell us about this Russian influence?
Crap?
Hold on.
That triggered me. Did you listen to that?
Carrie just got triggered, folks. Hold on.
Oh, that was ridiculous. 600 Trump accounts linked to Russian influence. I don't know if I got the exact wording on that right. He had to have rehearsed that line because it was a mouthful. I bet you You know that thing that people do, rubber baby buggy bumpers to
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
It's like the exercises to get warmed up before you go and do public speaking on it. I mean, that was a mouthful, and it was so chock full of lies. It was like lie. It was dishonesty inception, is what that was. It was like lie cascading on lie, overlapping and intertwined with. I mean, wow. It was like live feedback is what that was.
A lot of people have been triggered. Kekistan Rose was triggered. CNN being exposed makes me think of a creepy guy in Central Park at 3 a.m. Okay.
I like that. Okay. Oh, I feel like you need to start that over. That is amazing.
He has
that's an amazing intro to a question.
Would you say he has a full mouth?
Oh,
he is
definitely.
literally just loaded, full mouth of nothingness.
The nationalist wing of President Trump's political coalition has been waging a full-bore information campaign, sometimes misinformation campaign, to remove Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster from his position as President Trump.
Okay, so he's saying that Trump is launching a misinformation.
Not Trump. The national. So the people that support him that are nationalists.
Us.
Nationalists.
We, because he's calling out.
Right.
We're trying to do a misinformation campaign to overthrow throw McMaster's out.
Right, to get him fired.
Right. And so we know that's fake, and he's fake, and Jake
Well,
Tapper's
I mean,
fake.
there are people. There's Mike Cernovich did a big thing where a series of scopes where he's telling everybody to call up the White House.
Well, and that's why trending fire McMaster's, fire Mueller trended most of the week.
Yeah, and I watched the scopes where there were a lot of people who were calling for his firing, and somebody asked me the day that was really big during my scope to talk about McMaster's and get him fired and what should we do. And I told everybody, I said, there's a lot of people out there that are calling for everybody to call up the White House and get him fired or ask for him to get fired or whatever. And I said, go and do it. So, I mean, I guess I was on board with that. I just really, that wasn't the pet project I was working on. But I wasn't going to oppose it. I don't have a problem with that.
So why wasn't McMaster's fired? That's a question coming from one of the viewers.
You know what? You have to think about why. You have to think about that question. That's a legit question, and you have to, there's people out there who will say, look, I look at what actually happened and work backwards from there and figure out why what actually happened has happened. So when you see that McMaster's has not been fired yet, you have to work backwards and say, there's a decision-making process where somebody says, how is McMaster's doing? What kind of job is he doing? Should we fire him or should something happen? And he didn't get fired. He's not fired. He's got all these people calling up the White House saying, fire McMaster. And he's not being fired. So you have to work backwards and say, and first and foremost, this is absolutely critical. This is critical. You have to listen to me. Stop forgetting that Donald Trump is a workaholic genius. He's not lazy and he's not stupid. He works and works and works, and he's like that chef that has 20 burners, and there's a pot and a pan on every one of them, full blast, and everything's being cooked all at the same time. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is the type of person that's able to take that and make a whole entire dinner out of that, and nothing's burnt, nothing's undercooked. So you have to remember that he is extremely smart. He is borderline genius, if not genius. And he's very cognizant of everything. So to sit there and say that we need to help him make these decisions, I think is kind of questionable in my opinion. There's got to be a reason why he's not firing McMaster. And it would involve information that we're not privy to. So if he's not firing McMaster's, there's got to be a reason for that.
And something else, and I've said it on the show many, many times before, if you ever read anything about leadership, any books on leadership, or developing your own personal leadership, or to help others develop their leadership, you will find that leaders do one thing when it comes to decision-making process. Leaders work out decision-making processes like a muscle.
And everybody right now on the comments board saying he's trash, he's a criminal, and all this stuff. That may be, and maybe his firing is imminent. But right this very second, him still having his job, there's definitely a very good reason for it. And if it's a bad reason, we can explore that. But there's a lot of people out there that are treating the situation as if we don't intervene, the dummy named Donald Trump is going to be too stupid to figure out the right thing to do. And that's ridiculous. That's totally ridiculous.
And a lot of people right now on Periscope are hashtag trust Trump. Absolutely trust Trump. He's a leader, a bona fide leader that made this thing happen. Leaders do one thing when they make decisions. They make decisions very quickly, and they are very, very slow to change their mind. Trump is not going to change his mind. Look how long it took to get rid of Reince Priebus.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It took a long time to get rid of him. But you know what people are saying, the reason he was there and the reason he was there for so long and the reason he's gone. I always said that Reince Priebus is a mole from day one. I thought he was a mole while he was with the campaign. And he was following Donald Trump like really closely. Let me give you a little story. Brian was not there, so Brian will just have to.
We've got listeners taking us to the beer store with them.
Oh, okay.
We're on our way to the beer store with one of our listeners.
Okay.
Through the headphones.
Don't drink and drive.
No. Pick you up a good 12-pack so you can get home and you don't have to go anywhere.
Give
Just
me
stay
a
home.
bottle of cheap wine or box. Give me a box.
A box of wine.
Just stick your head under it. So anyway, you made me lost my train of thought. So, okay, so Sharonville. So Donald Trump comes to Sharonville, Ohio, and Brian was, out of town or something, whatever it was. Yeah. I can't remember why.
No, I was working night shift. I couldn't make it.
That's right. Totally night shift. So Brian was out. And so I had to go to Sharonville myself. And I get there. And this was the first time I ever heard this. But Donald Trump goes up there and says, guess who we got today? We got Reince Priebus. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Reince Priebus is there. Whatever. He's a cuck. Nobody likes him. Get rid of him. But Donald Trump is up there praising him. And we know this guy's an establishment cuck. He's said and done things that are really, really
questionable, at least.
Oh, at the very best, questionable. At the worst, he's just been undermining the Trump candidacy from day one, possibly sabotaging it, or at least facilitating it and supporting those in the GOP who were. So obviously, right off the bat, I'm like, no, Trump, don't trust him. Don't trust him. So he's up there praising Reince, and this is what he said about him. He said, every single place I go, and it's like 3, 4, and 5 different locations per day with full speeches. This is what Trump was doing. He said, when I get to my next location, Reince is already there. And he was praising Reince for how much of an unbelievable, hardworking workhorse he was. So to me, I felt like Reince figured out what Trump respects. And he decided, well, let's go full bore with that and really, really, really gain the trust of Trump in order to infiltrate his campaign, his inner circle. And that's what I felt like he was doing. Sure enough, fast forward to when they started naming cabinet members and Reince Priebus gets chief of staff. I'm like, oh, something's not right here. This is not right. This is not right. Well, remember, before he picked Reince Priebus, who was he looking at? Romney. And everybody was freaking out.
Dude, you remember that? Remember that when Romney met with Trump at the Trump Towers? Remember that, folks?
And there was pictures of him together in that dinner, and there was like the wine glasses. And
dude, we were losing it.
Everybody was losing it.
And the joke at the end of the day, it was payback, Romney.
It's right.
Suck it.
It was totally payback. It was like, let's dangle the treat out in front of him and then take it from him and say, you don't get it. So that's what happened to Romney. Meanwhile, we freaked out so bad about Romney that when he finally picked Reince Priebus as chief of staff, we were like, well, it's not the end of the world. At least it's not Romney or whatever, right? So that goes down, and we're okay. Well, I mean, we're not okay, but we're reluctantly accepting the choice. Turns out, all this time, with all the leaks, all the people fired, turns out I was absolutely right from day one about Reince. Does that make Donald Trump incompetent? Well, a lot of experts out there say no, because even though I was right about Reince, about how he was a mole, he was undermining the Trump presidency from the day one that he started running around trying to gain the confidence of the inner circle of Donald Trump. It's been day one, total Trojan horse, right? But it turns out that the reason it was good that he hired him, and the reason that it was good that he kept him that long before finally replacing him with General Kelly, is that there needs to be a strong message sent to the establishment GOP that we tried to work with you guys. We put the right people in the right places. We put Reince in there so that we could reach over to you establishment cucks and say, what do we do? What we want to work with you? Well, whatever. Tell us what you want so that we can work together. And it failed. And so now they can't go back and say, you see, you never tried to work with us. So we preempted all that, or I should say Trump preempted all of that by taking the first step, reaching over and say, hey, I know you guys were never Trumpers. I know you guys hate that I have been the Republican candidate and all this, the nominee and all this. And but you know what? Let's just put bygones be bygones and put everything aside, bury the hatchet. Let's work together. And I'm going to have Reince in there helping me do that. And it failed miserably. Now the buck is on them. And now Trump can now attain what he wants to obtain with Kelly. And they can't come back and say, you're working with us.
Right. Well, not only that, but Sam Keel's on the message board. And by the way, folks, if you want to be on the message board, go to smithradio.info, live 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And we are also Periscoping as well. So if you're on Periscope or Twitter.
I got my cold coffee. I'm waiting for the beer run to show up. I want my box of wine.
Waiting for the box run. But, okay, I did it to you. I distracted you. Now you got me off.
Yeah, I got you.
Sam Keel said.
Yes,
I got Sam Keel said on the message board, just like Sean Spicer. Folks, I'm not lying. You can go back and you could see everything. When I make a statement like leadership and I talk about leadership, Carrie and I studied it and worked together with it to raise up our leadership in a situation we were in. We went headlong at it.
Yep.
Leaders make very quick decisions. They're good at making decisions, and it takes a long time for them to change their mind, i.e. Sean Spicer, Reince Priebus. Now, I know somebody just posted up and said, well, what about the mooch? Well, I honestly think Scaramucci was not necessarily there to stay there. I honestly believe Scaramucci was a tool to be used at hand, but that's for another date. Anyways, back to that soundbite again of Jake Tapper. Let's finish this one up. Jake Tapper with Shiftless talking about McMaster's and the deep state, and we're trying to Jake's initial question was so ridiculously damning and insane that only Schiff, the liberal, will answer it as if he's answering a question he wished Jake Tapper would have asked. So it's a multi-pronged fork of questions.
National security advisor. The New York Times is reporting that the top hashtag among 600 Twitter accounts linked to Russian influence operations on Thursday was hashtag Fire McMaster. What can you tell?
Okay, how do you know there's 600 links, 600 accounts linked with Russian? What is that?
They totally made that up.
That's completely made up.
They totally made that up. But there is no, I guess if you say, well, look, Jack Posobiec, he has a Russian
fiancé.
Wife. No, I think they're married now.
Okay.
Yeah, they just got married, I think. At least that's what it looked like, right? They were at a wedding. I think it was their own wedding,
and
right?
She's still Russian.
She is Russian.
And she's in America.
So he is clearly a full-blown Russian spy, flat out.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Just kidding, Jack. Just kidding. So anyway.
Okay.
Tell us about this Russian influence operation.
Well, we saw this during the campaign, that the Russians use their paid social media trolls. They use bots in order to push things as part of their active measures campaign. In that sense, to try to influence the election. In this sense, to try to potentially influence the firing of a top Trump campaign.
So Russian bots and Russian trolls.
The Kremlin, if you will.
They take to social media
through surrogates who are American Trump supporters with they're Americans
to thwart an election.
Huh?
That's what they did during the Trump campaign.
Oh,
they wanted to thwart the election, and
so
now
they use American citizens.
And since that worked so well that they're now doing it, Russia and their bots are now doing it to fire McMaster's.
Why when they get overwhelmed with numbers, and I try to not do this to the Democrats because it's wrong. All right, when they get overwhelmed with tweets and pushback by a lot of people, instead of accepting the fact that they are wildly unpopular, they say, "Oh, those are just bots. Those aren't real people. Those are fake." Because if they're real people, I might have to accept the fact that I'm a loser with unpopular opinions and that the vast majority of human beings think I'm a moron. So instead of accepting that, they say, "Oh, those are just bots. Those aren't real people."
Somebody on Periscope said Hillary Clinton was an officially Russian bot.
Yes, she was a bot, and I'll tell you the proof of that. When she was carted off, her battery ran out, and she collapsed. Yeah, when her battery ran out and she collapsed, a human being would have probably been in intensive care for probably a week, and really holed up in some sort of a medical situation in the hospital.
Right.
But in the case where she collapsed, they just recharged the batteries, and within 45 minutes, because now they have the new technology that allows you to recharge batteries quickly.
Right.
Or possibly switch out the battery with a new one in case it goes bad. And 45 minutes later, it was like nothing happened.
Well, and at one point,
she is a bot.
At one point in time, they had sent out for parts for the bot.
Yeah.
So they actually enlisted, and this woman is on Twitter. They enlisted the Hillary Clinton lookalike, if you remember. Do you remember? Oh, you got me right there, right on Periscope. As I said it, somebody tweeted it out. Yes, the Hillary Clinton lookalike. I was not obsessed with it, but I found her. I found it. And let me tell you, when you start to put these pictures next to each other of the different views of Hillary, oh, yeah, they're all different people.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All looking like Hillary. Anyways, I digress.
You're talking replacement parts. They're all handmade, so they don't look exactly the same. So that's why you can distinguish between them.
Right.
Okay.
Or not campaign, but Trump administration official, the national security advisor. I think it's indicative of the idea that the Russians don't particularly like General McMaster. They may not like his policies, what he's advocating.
Hold on.
So instead of just
he said that Russians.
Yeah. They're calling American citizens Russians now.
Could be the entire country of Russia.
That West Virginia rally, all Russians.
All Russians, and they all hate McMaster.
Now, if we were to confront him right now and say, "How could you say that? I want you to defend this ridiculousness," he would say, "Oh, no, I'm not calling those people like your West Virginians and the people that are clearly American citizens. I'm just saying that they are completely brainwashed and hypnotized by the Russian technology to be able to do that. There's technology out there that can take over a human body and a brain in order to get them to behave and make decisions on behalf of the Kremlin."
Right.
And that would be his excuse that, "Oh, no, they're American citizens. They're born in America. They have citizen status, and they're voting and all this, but they are effectively taken over by Russians." I think that would be his defense, which of course is clearly rational.
Why are we giving so much attention to a shirtless bald guy? OMG.
Shirtless. Oh, you talking about
Putin?
Putin?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why are they? I mean, that's the question we need to be given to the
Here's
Democrats.
the answer. Simple and sweet.
Is he bald?
I can't.
know.
Putin?
Yeah, is he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought he had a little bit of hair.
Oh, around the sides,
he's bald on top? I thought he had hair up there. I'm going to look up a picture. Anyway, go ahead.
Receding, at least, at the very minimum.
Yeah, certainly.
The reason why, now this is inside ball game, folks. The reason why Russia is front and foremost and Russia is everywhere. Russiagate, Russian golden shower gate, Trump in Russia, Trump properties in Russia, Trump tied to Russia. Here is why, and this is no more simpler than this. This is extremely simple. The liberals, the Democrats, the mainstream media, they think that us conservatives are a bunch of hayseed hicks and we're retarded. They really honestly believe that we're backwoods, in the hills, hayseed hicks that cling to our guns and our Bibles, and they believe that we're still clinging onto the notion that USSR is still alive and kicking, and that our favorite shows that we continue to watch today from beginning to end in a binge-watching session are Rocky movies about Rocky Balboa beating some hayseed Rocky, ignorant Rocky Balboa.
I do like Cold War movies, though.
Of course, we love Cold War movies, but we know it's over with. But what they're attempting to do is link Trump with USSR Russia in order to separate us, Trump supporters, from Trump.
I know it. So this goes back. I actually said this before, but I don't want to take away your point.
It's like right now we're all in a camp, and we have, he's a beautiful man. He's receding hairline, but it's like
There's
short.
some hair up there.
It's a military cut, though.
Yeah.
So it's that we're all in a camp supporting Trump, and the mainstream media, what they're attempting to do is to cut off our lifeline with Trump. And since that's not working, they're attempting to divide us from Trump by playing on our Cold War fears and our Cold War
and our patriotism.
Yes.
If you're a patriot and you remember and you lived through the Cold War like we lived through the Cold War.
KGB haircut. There you go.
Yeah, that is
thanks
a KGB.
on Periscope.
Yes, KGB. Periscope points out KGB haircut, 100%, definitely. And that's like the Russian receding hairline, kind of a blondish looking hair. That's like he's getting to that age where it goes back. But here I always thought this. I know what this playbook is, and I have no idea why they've never pivoted from this, because it's not working. And that is that they say, well, you know what? Conservatives are inherently patriotic.
Oh, they love their country.
They wave that flag all over the place. They put the flag on the back of their pickup trucks. They put the flag on their bedroom. They put their flag on their house. They put a flagpole in their front yard. All this stuff, right? Totally patriotic. They wear their American flags.
And in our living rooms, we've got the camouflage netting hanging from the ceiling. And when we're done drinking a beer, we stick it up. No, that was college, man.
Oh, did you have one of those nets in college?
I know somebody who obtained one. And I don't know what the legalities are on those nettings, but the official netting. I know someone. Okay, I know two people now. And I'm the loser because I do not own one.
Well, I definitely, or the person that we know
in question
that has the military issue camouflage net was definitely risking a little bit of legalities by obtaining that. But anyway,
and we sleep in camouflage. That's what we do. We sleep in. We have a gun rack over our bed. Over the nightstand.
So we got these patriotic Americans, and here's what the liberal playbook was from the moment this Russia stuff started. And that is that these Republicans, these conservatives, are not going to tolerate anything that looks like friendliness towards Russia. And when we start to show them through our fake, false, lying narrative that Trump is somehow either friendly with or colluding with or in any way anything other than mortal enemies with Russia, the conservative patriots are not going to tolerate that, and they're going to soften up their loyalty to him. They're not going to be loyal to somebody that's not a full-blown archenemy to Russia. And man, did they ever miscalculate on that. Totally miscalculated. What it boils down to is that us conservatives, especially the older ones that lived through the Cold War, even the younger ones don't know nothing about no Cold War. They're like, why are we enemies with the Russians? They're like, Ukraine, something, invasion. The older people like us who are all about having grown up doing drills where we have to run, duck underneath our desk to protect us from the nuclear mushroom cloud, right? I mean, we look at it by comparison and we're like, wow, Russia today, with even led by Vladimir Putin, we're not buying the evilness. And, you talk about, well, what about Ukraine and what about Putin doing this, Putin doing that? I need to see more evidence. When we were growing up, the USSR was all about the falling dominoes. And mainly, here's the most important thing. Why did we hate USSR? Everybody forgets. Everybody thinks because they stole the nuclear secrets and they made nukes. But why does that make us their enemy, or them make that make them our enemy? The reason we were the reason we're enemies with the USSR is because they're communists.
Commies.
They're communists. And I'm not sold on this crazy notion that Russia today, in its current form, are even socialists. I don't even think they're socialists.
Here's the other facet of this. Liberals play on emotions because they know if they can get people emotional, especially their freak base, the snowflakes, and the whatnots, if they can trigger their emotions, they can get them to do things. That's liberal playbook. That's just what they do. Look at some of the greatest liberal, crazy dictators in the world that have ever been. Go to YouTube and watch. And I'm not throwing Adolf Hitler out just because another Adolf Hitler reference, but
we gotta always. There's a quota we have to meet where we have to compare people to Hitler.
It's necessary. Multiple times.
That's a government regulation. That's absolutely necessary. There's a minimum amount of Hitler references you have to make, or else you could get your FCC license taken.
Right. So I now have to reference Hitler. Go on the YouTubes and check out Hitler's. They've got it all on YouTube on his speeches that he gave. It was completely emotional. It completely firing up the crowd, completely emotional, and he got him to do stuff.
Oh, he was like really like
flailing,
using a lot of body language and all that kind of stuff.
So what does that mean about this? What this means now is that the liberals know nothing else. So all they know is they need to trigger conservatives emotionally to get us to do something like leave Trump. What is the most emotional event that had happened in our lifetime with baby boomers and then us, this generation X, and then we can then talk to generation Y, Z, and millennials. But what is the biggest thing that's ever? It was the Berlin Wall falling down. It was communism. It was USSR. It was the Cold War. It was Russia. We were at war. So they're attempting to get us emotionally triggered and say that Trump is Russia. Hey, good looking out, Gen Xers. We are a very small minority right now. We got to stick together. We got to get the information out to millennials.
Yeah, the millennials are the next baby boom, right? So you got your baby boomers, which is huge. Your Gen Xers, and then and it's not that big. We're a small generation, and then millennials are really. And
big. I don't think Putin is looking to go back to USSR Russia because he knows it didn't work.
He could at any point.
Right. And
if he wanted to, he could say, well, you know what? We're going full-blown communism.
Yeah, but he knows it didn't work. He knows that capitalism outspent, outbought, outwon tenfold.
They outproduce.
Yes, tenfold.
That's what it really boils down to,
and
flat out.
Just blew their doors off not knowing it. So point being, I don't trust Putin, but at the same time, I don't hate Russians. There's no Russian to hate. As long as they're not communists, not trying to propagandize America.
I need to see more evidence against Putin. You got these people like McCain. When he starts talking about Putin, it's like, wow, this is the most evil, violent. Does he remember Stalin? I mean, Stalin was just, I'm the leader of the USSR. I'm the premier. And he's murdering millions of people. Everybody talks about how evil Hitler was for all the millions that died because of his quote, leadership. But Stalin had him beat. I think more people died under Stalin's control than Hitler. And then Mao had them all beat. And what was Mao? Mao was the communist leader of China.
Mao?
Yeah.
Mao? How you spell it? Who's Mao? What?
M-A-O?
I ain't never heard of that before.
Yeah, a lot of people
Mao
don't know who that is.
Zedong?
So he's the guy that was in charge of China when they were full-blown communists. And what they found is just what we find in North Korea today, which is in order for communism to work, you have to kill everybody who's not fully on board. And that I'm not exaggerating by that. That's why so many millions and millions of people were murdered by these regimes, because they were the ones that were like, hey, I just want a little freedom around here.
Right, and this is just off the top of my head. This is off the top of my head that because we did a whole article about this. Folks, we've got a blog that Shalyn Gorman contributes to. That's kind of something that she does, our White House correspondent. It's blog.smithradio.com. Or if you just go to Smith Radio, you'll see her and the blog down at the right-hand corner, and the articles will scroll through when new articles are put up. But, I was going to go off the top of my head, but it looks like our producer.
Yeah, who's the most deadliest?
Our producer has come up with the list of, we'll go with the list of 12. Oh, Kim Jong-il and Un's father, grandpa, the first Kim. I believe it was the first Kim.
Killed 1.6 million.
Yeah, so Kim Jong-un.
Kim Il-sung.
Right, which is Kim Jong-un's grandfather.
Right.
Topping the list at 12th place, 1.6 million accredited.
Ho Chi Minh is number 11.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh 1.7.
Oh, by the way, what wasn't that communist? Yes.
Yeah, we're in communism, full blown communism. Capitalism.
Oh,
the only thing capitalism, and I'm going to blow your mind. You guys ready to be blowed? Capitalism is not perfect by no means, but capitalism is responsible for removing more human beings out of squalor, death, and destruction than any other single ideology next to maybe possibly Christianity in all of human history.
Well, and I think that capitalism and Christianity go hand in
hand.
I think they work very well together.
If you read the Bible actually talks about capitalism. So, number 10, Pol Pot.
Oh, another communist.
Cambodia, 1.7 million. Saddam Hussein.
He's the first one on this list that is not, he was not dictator of a communist country, but we have all talked about how much of a dictator he is. So there you go.
Right, and we can definitely link communism and dictatorship hand in hand. It's not that.
How many people are responsible for being for dying under Saddam Hussein?
2 million.
2 million.
2 million.
Okay.
Saddam, who I am insane. Yan Khan in Pakistan during 69 and 71, 2 to 12 million.
Oh, so they're not even sure.
We're getting up there.
Oh, this is Japanese. Is that Japanese?
Tojo Hideki, Japan.
Yeah.
4 million during World War II civilian genocide.
Okay, who's number 6?
Oh, look at that. Your friend and mine. Not really. Vladimir Lenin.
Lenin, the guy, the founder.
USSR in 1917 to 24.
Wow, he only killed 4 million people. That's actually a lot lower than I would have guessed.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been more.
Oh, Hirohito.
Hirohito.
He's number 5. He was the emperor of Japan, Imperial Japan, during World War II, right?
Yeah, and they're talking about the Nanking massacre, worst offense, and it was a monarchy. He died of cancer too, just like Hugo Chavez. Interesting. Cancer gets them all.
Well, a lot of people die of cancer, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Conspiracy Theorist.
Chiang Kai-shek, China. Death toll 10 million between 28 and 49.
I didn't know that. Okay. We got 2.
Number 3.
Adolf Hitler.
I wasn't going to say this high. I thought it was around 10 million, but they're accrediting him with 11 years of power, the Holocaust, a fascist regime, if you will.
Socialist. Fascist.
Correct.
Yeah.
17 to 20 million.
Okay. And that's what socialism gets you.
Yes, lots of death and destruction.
Oh, and who's number 2? Who is above Hitler?
Who would you think? think?
He's actually an ally of the United States at one point, and the founder of the Cold War.
No, not Mr. Joe. Not Joe Stalin. Joe?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe Stalin. All right, you holding on to your seats, folks?
Yeah, how much?
Joseph Stalin, USSR, communist dictator, full-blown, more power than the liberals would love to have, because they love that power. 40 to 60 million responsible deaths.
Wow.
Gulag camps.
Yeah.
Starving out.
Pretty much anybody that wasn't fully on board with the ideology of communism had to be sent off to labor camps called gulags, and they were maltreated. They weren't cared about. It was kind of like work until you die,
right?
Pretty much.
So somebody put up on a question up on Periscope. How many did the dictators kill altogether? Well, I will tell you this: the 20th century was one of the bloodiest.
Oh yeah,
one of the bloodiest centuries. And communism, dictatorships, evilness, which is the left, is accredited for probably close, if not more, than 200 million human beings laid to waste at an early death due to communism, dictatorship.
We need a drum roll because we're about to get to number one. We all know who it is.
Mao Zedong.
Oh, of course. He's one of those capitalists, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, he is a C word.
A C word?
Not capitalist.
Oh, something not friendly to family?
The communist.
That
communist.
is. Ooh, we can't say that word.
Out of China.
Okay.
He was out of China in a communist regime. The Great Chinese Famine. So, I don't know if you folks are old enough to remember this, but do you remember when you were a child? When you were a young child?
Oh, if you're over the age of probably my age, because I was very young when this was told.
Well, and your sister, even a little bit younger, and almost to my wife, not quite. So if you were born, I'll say 79.
Okay, 79.
If you were born in 79 or earlier.
Earlier, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You would have heard your family, your parents say, you better eat all the food on your plate because there's kids starving in China.
There are starving children in China.
They're in China and they're starving.
Right.
That's because of the Great Chinese Famine. And the cause of all of this, Mao Zedong, 1943 to 1976, in power for 34 years. Some have credited, now this one says 75 million deaths.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it as high as 85 to 90 million.
Yeah, but he had more people to work with, so on percentage, he probably wasn't. He would be lower in the list, I think.
Because you're talking about per capita?
He has an unfair advantage.
Because of per capita.
There's like billions of people that live in China.
Yeah, but
but if it was capitalist, he wouldn't have to worry about it.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
So that's what capitalism, that's what socialism gets you, folks. That's what we talk about here on Smith Radio, because this is information you all need to know. And we need to get this out to the people that don't know. Why do you not mention Yoda? I don't know. Before Hitler. If he didn't make the list, he's not on the list. I can't tell you he's on the list. I don't know. That's just the list that I get. You can look that up, if you will.
Mary Lou said she's glad she didn't get fat because her parents made her do that too. Just sit there at the table. I remember my dad said, we had dinner at normal time, and I remember sitting there at the kitchen table in the dark.
I'd fallen asleep, yeah.
In the dark.
I fell asleep on the table.
My parents wouldn't let me get up from the table until I finished my lima beans. So bad. Yeah, it was child abuse, flat out.
Yeah, no, I'd fallen asleep. My brother, who was skinny and little, actually would fall down because we were so poor, we had a picnic bench for a kitchen table.
Oh, wow.
That my dad made out of wood. And it was so wide, my brother was so small that he kept falling down. He'd fall down on the floor.
Yeah.
That's where we come from, folks. It's fun and games.
It's all fun and games until you're living in true poverty, really.
A Susan Rice committed 3 felonies.
Of course.
McMaster's lets her keep her security clearance.
There's a little bit of a dispute on that.
Washington Times.
Yeah.
Susan Rice urges McMaster's to get rid of Bannon.
Oh, okay. I got the story on that. Does anybody want to hear the truth about that?
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm fired up.
So was it Washington Times?
Yeah, Washington Times.
They report that Susan Rice urged McMaster's to fire Bannon. What does that sound like to you? Like what images are conjured up in your head when you hear that?
I'm thinking fake news.
Well, no. Let's say it's real. Let's say. Okay, it's not exactly real. So the wording is definitely makes it false. But what does it sound like if you take it at face value? If you believe what they wrote, what does it sound like? It sounds like Susan either called him up on the phone and said, "You need to fire Bannon."
Yeah, you better.
I'm telling you, you should do it. I think if you don't, there might be some consequences. Hey, I have power. I have friends in high places. I can make life very difficult for you if you don't fire Bannon. Okay?
Right.
Or you could say, well, it could be maybe it was a meeting on a tarmac somewhere.
What?
Maybe they met face to face somewhere. And they say, and Rice goes up to him and says, "Hey, I'm telling you right now," and I'm saying this because they use the word urged.
Urged, yes.
So I'm thinking she's being very forceful, and she's saying, "Hey, you need to fire him.
I'm urging you.
I'm urging you to fire him." Guess what the truth is? You guys ready for the truth?
What is the truth?
She mentioned in a tweet, directed or naming McMaster's in the tweet, that he should fire Bannon on Twitter. And it's being reported as Susan Rice urging him to fire him, as if there was some sort of a secret meeting and we have insights. This happened in a tweet.
No, come on, man.
I'm not kidding. And this is how it's reported. This is why you got to listen to us,
What
guys.
are we talking about here?
You got to listen to us because you're only going to get the reality of the situation by listening to Smith Radio. Literally. And guess how I learned that? I read the damn article. It says it in the article.
No, so they tell on themselves. Once again.
If you go into the article and start reading it, it flat out says that Susan Rice urged him to fire Bannon in a message through Twitter.
That's pure insanity, folks.
Yes.
That is absolute insanity.
It's just sad that these journalists are. It's WWE. It's WWE.
Don't ever. Well, or Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Great movie, The Sting. Never give up.
I need to see it.
Never give up the game.
I always reference movies, and you constantly reference that one, and I never saw it. So I need to see it so I can reference it too.
Right.
Oh,
incredible movie.
So now you know the truth about Susan Rice urging me. Seriously? The title makes it sound like Susan Rice has some sort of control over him, or that there should be concern that McMaster's is going to make decisions based on what Susan Rice wants. And all it was a damn tweet.
That don't make no never mind.
We don't even know if McMaster's even saw the tweet.
I know, Robert. I know. Robert Redford, Paul Newman, great Democrats. I know. But growing up, I didn't know. I still love the movie. Cool Hand Luke, another Billy Bad one. That was an awesome one, as well as.
Well, I can reference the movie as a message for conservatism, if that's what, in fact, it does.
Different kind of Democrat? Yeah, one that might not be so insane as they are today.
Who's that? What's the sniper movie played by Cooper? He ended up. Everybody thought he was a conservative because he played Kyle.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So he made fun of people coming up and all these conservatives.
American Sniper. Thank you.
Yeah, American Sniper.
Oh,
so apparently,
Chad Burke.
Okay.
Chad Burke, American Sniper. Thank you, buddy.
So everybody had been going up to him and saying, "Oh my gosh, great job in the movie! Oh, we love you," and thinking that he's conservative, and he was like,
all joke.
I'm a Hillary supporter." He was literally 100%. The guy that played the sniper was totally a Hillary supporter, and it's sad.
It's insane. And Michael Moore comes out with a sound clip to help Trump get elected.
And he did. I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys listen to us for a very long time, you've heard me tell you the story about how Oprah Winfrey single-handedly is responsible for Obama being our 44th president. Just like I can sit here and tell you with full certainty that Michael Moore may, in fact, be, and I'm not taking away from the huge Trump movement.
And the Trump message,
yeah,
America First message,
there's
Make
a lot
America
of
great
things
again.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of things that went into it. All you people listening, the giant Trump movement, Trump himself, all contributed. But if there was a chance that it wasn't enough, if it was possible that what we had done was just a little bit short of what was needed to win the presidency, Michael Moore put it over the top. And you can make that argument because he won Rust Belt states that even though Trump worked very hard in, nobody thought he had a chance at.
Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states.
This is Michael Moore, by the way.
Looks like a creep.
You live here in Ohio. You know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had.
Let's get emotional.
Except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter. Because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump.
So when you hear that, especially that last part, excuse the language, we didn't
we don't normally ever play
cuss words
at all.
We're trying to keep it family friendly, but
that was important here, though.
Brian just threw that out there directly from YouTube, so we didn't have a chance to actually go through and. But notice, I wanted Brian. There's actually more to this that we don't have to listen to,
right?
Because he said an important thing. He said they will go in and put an X on the ballot for Trump. He didn't say they might or they should or they could. They will.
They will.
They will. And so when people hear that, it's hard to make the argument that he was taken out of context. And because if you listen to the entire thing, it was actually an excerpt from the movie Trumpland. And if you watch the whole thing in context, he eventually says that they shouldn't, and it would be a mistake if he did, because voting for Trump would be a big, big, big mistake. So that's what it was in context. But just listening to that, I mean, it sounds like he's saying that Trump will win. And to be honest with you, he makes the argument that he should win.
I mean, if you look at that video and look at that crowd, they're starstruck by what he's saying. The words that are coming out of his mouth, they're shock and awe. And I see in their eyes a little bit of confusion as to where's this guy going with this, because he's making me want to vote for Donald Trump. I'm serious. When you talk about the middle class being screwed over, being tossed aside, we have been. That's why this has been so huge.
Right.
For us, for you.
Well, a lot of people, that thing was viral. That thing was viral, and I'm telling you right now, he was specifically talking to and about the people that really ended up winning this for him, which was all the Rust Belt states.
Right.
He needed to win those states in order to win this election. He needed to win a couple of them anyway, and he ended up winning a bunch of them. He broke through that blue wall is what the and I'm telling you, I think the fact that this video went viral and people played it and replayed it and shared it and whatnot, I think it might have put it over the top.
Absolutely. On Periscope, they're saying tax breaks will really get this engine running. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, folks, this engine that is America is ramping back up.
We're almost out of time, and I want to point this out. We're talking about taxes, and I know there's going to be the budget's coming through, and then people are talking about tax reform. Don't ever forget that Obamacare is mainly a tax, and it didn't get repealed. Yeah. It didn't get replaced. It didn't mainly repealed. It didn't get repealed, and so that big financial burden is going to be wrapped around our neck like an albatross until it does. So all this talk about tax reform and tax cuts and all this stuff is going to be helpful, but we need to keep on revisiting, repealing, and replacing Obamacare.
Look at the map of the election. Looks like a Verizon map.
Yeah, for the most part.
I mean, seriously.
Oh, wait till 2020. I predict 49 states.
Who are they going to run? Who are they going to run against?
Oh, it'll be Joe Biden. Joe Biden, 100%. 100% Joe Biden.
Uncle Joe.
Yep, Uncle Joe's going to run in 2020.
Well, you know what we're going to wind up doing? We're going to wear out that Villages video of Uncle Joe drunk.
I don't know if that's him, is it?
The Villages.
I don't think it's
America's friendliest hometown.
That's not him. It's a guy that looks like him.
It sounds like. Tell me, folks, have you seen the video of Joe Biden doing a drunk Villages song? Is it Joe Biden? Thumbs up, yes. Thumbs down, no.
I don't know. I can't believe, because I think there's people out there that look like Joe. Brian's desperately
there's
looking for
nobody looks like Joe.
What do you mean? I mean, he looks like an average Joe.
We got Trumpocrats on, and they just gave 6 thumbs down.
What?
Apparently, Trumpocrats used to be a Democrat, and they believe they're still allowed to vote more than once.
When you're a Democrat, you do believe that we could just truck people all over the place and vote multiple times.
That's right. Say it ain't so, Joe. So this is Smith Radio. You've been listening to the fastest 3 hours you will ever spend in your entire life.
It goes fast.
Here on Smith Radio, smithradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Smith Radio. My handle at Brian P. Smith on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Periscope.
Patreon.
We're everywhere there. Yes, folks. Listen up. Just a real quick little push, real fast. Patreon.com/Smith Radio. Go there. $1.
Or $5 or $20 or whatever.
Minimum $1 will get you in the secret society.
Yes.
The secret private Smith Radio
Society. It's like a fraternity. It's like a fraternity.
Thank you so much. We do this out of the goodness of our own heart. We love doing this.
We're not doing it for the money, but we ask for Patreons to actually donate, because we want to do this more, and we want to be able to dial back on our primary income so that we could dedicate more time, and also equipment. We have to buy equipment for this. This is not going to make us rich, and we don't care about becoming wealthy over it. It's about being able to do it and dedicate more of our time and ourselves to it, and also get nicer equipment so that way we could produce it better and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and it'd be more enjoyable for you to listen, for you to watch, for you to be a part of, more interactive.
Who's going to Dixie MAGA? We are.
Woo, going to Dixie MAGA.
Oh my gosh,
next weekend.
Next weekend,
we are going
Dixie
to
MAGA.
be in Georgia next weekend. Those mics to yell into when breaking orders at my kid. Yeah, you ought to get mics like these.
Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious.
That was enough to wake the dead.
Now I'm awake.
Well, that's it, folks. Share us, like us, send it to your friends, to your family. Tell everybody you know about this. Say, hey, man, these two knuckleheads are just blowing it up. Smith Radio.
Greatest 3-hour duo on the internet.
Wish you could be there as well. Winners all round. America is winning. Do not believe anybody that says any different.
It freeze up on you?
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.